What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Ben Thomas Show. Here we are again for Let's Get Nuts, and we are back after 2 weeks of missing you guys. And I gotta say, this is gonna be a bit of a nutty show, a nutty panel. We've got a very special guest who is showing his first time here on Let's Get Nuts. We're gonna talk about Hot Toys news. We got a lot of entertainment news. We got some Inart updates as well. And I've got some tough hitting, nutty questions for the boys that I'm gonna put them on the spot for. So guys, of course, stick around. If you like the video, hit the like button, smash the subscribe if you're new to the Ben Thomas Show, and of course, let's get nuts.
What are you doing? You're completely outnumbered here. Are you nuts? You want to get 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 nuts? Come on, let's get nuts. Let's get nuts. Let's get nuts. Let's get nuts. Let's get nuts.
So, let's be honest. It's not a Sunday if it's not getting a little classy up here on the Let's Get Nuts show. So let's bring in somebody with a little class, maybe a lot of class. Mr. Classy Thomas, SpongeBob SquareBalls. Good to see you, buddy. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. Good to be here. How's it going there, Benny?
It's been good. It's been good. I've been gone for 2 weeks. I got to go visit my mom, and I've been working and all the crazy things. So I'm honestly just excited to get caught up with you guys, have some laughs, talk some toys, lots of things that have come up in the last 2 weeks that I even chose to skip on because I'm like, man, like this would be like a 6-hour long show if I don't cut some fat. So all good. But dude, I'm so happy to have you back. Everything going okay in life for you?
Everything is going very well, actually. Very, very well. I'm like I said, the weather is really, really good here in North Carolina, and so I've been getting out and getting a little bit of fresh air. And I think now that the spring is coming, unfortunately, I think also the pollen is coming because it seems like some of my seasonal allergies are starting to come around because I'm a little stuffed up. But you know, every year my voice changes. I feel like I'm 13 again, but you know, hey, every season I expect it. But you know, I'm doing well though. I'm doing very well.
It's almost time to get your legs out again, put the Frankenfurter costume back on, stretch it out a little bit, right? 100%, dude. Good to see you, man. It's been I know it's funny because like the weather is always one of those like small talk things that people say at parties and stuff, but here in Canada it's been really freaking twisted. I was out smoking one the other day in a t-shirt and like flip-flop sandals. And then the very next day we had, and I'm not kidding, 3 feet of snow. It's like back and forth. It's insane. So I can't keep up with it. But don't move to Canada unless you like the cold. So that's all I can say. Let's bring in the next guest. Now, some would say the luck of the Irish is upon us. This man reached out to me again, about a week ago. He sent me a really lovely message, Thomas. And I left him on red because I was up in the mountains. I couldn't answer. I couldn't listen to the voice message. Turns out it was a lot of love, and poor bastard, I left the guy on red. So let's bring him out here and give him some love back. Let us give him some love from the chat as well. We got Shane, 16-figure focus here with us. Good to see you, buddy. How's it going?
If it wasn't bad enough that he left me on red, when he eventually got back to me, he was like, I left you on red because, I was actually in your favorite place in the world having a great time. So I love Canada. I love the mountains. And I'm jealous that Ben gets to live so close to these meccas like Banff and Whistler. But yeah, I'm only joking, man. I get it. I'm not holding any grudges.
That's good because I can't afford to lose any more friends in life. I'm too old. You know what I'm saying?
You're all right, man. I'm really looking forward to this, man. So thanks for having me here.
Dude, we got a great show. I'm happy to have you here. We've got a topic a little bit today that I'm excited to get your take on as well. I don't want to share that quite yet, so stay tuned for that. Now, we do have a very special guest in the house. It's actually very first time appearance on Let's Get Nuts, and his name reminds me of one of my favorite sandwiches I've ever had. It's from a little place called Prince Albert's Diner, and it's a Philly cheesesteak sandwich with fries and poutine on the side. So good. And when he came up in my chat today, I was like, damn it, now I want a Philly cheesesteak sandwich. But his channel is Figurecraft, Mr. Philly himself. Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for joining Let's Get Nuts today.
What's up, buddy? You know what's really funny is my personal Instagram is Philly cheesesteak.
Get out. Okay.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's
Easily-
hilarious. Yeah.
Easily
Thanks
one
for
of my
having me,
favorite
man.
sandwiches. Dude, I'm
Yeah,
so
thanks
happy
for
you're
having
here.
me. I'm excited. We missed you, buddy, in the last couple of weeks, so we're looking forward to this. And thanks again.
Heck yeah. Now, Philly was showing us backstage, everybody. He's got a poison ivy statue just over his right shoulder. And he's like, do you recognize this accessory? And I've got him up on the big screen here, and I'm like, no, like, what the hell is that? It looks like some kind of weird vine with a red tip. What the hell is that? Tell us
Buddy,
what that
I
is.
hate
good sir.
to correct you, but it's a 1/6 scale bison.
It's a 1/6 scale bison. It's
Yeah,
not a statue?
posable. It's not a statue.
Jesus, I did not even realize. And you got to show them what that accessory is, buddy, because that's insane. Wow.
It's a repurposed tendril from Venom. So poison ivy has been known to have those, kind of monster plants that come out and they look like kind of like Venom type of, characters. And so I was doing this custom, and I said, well, how do I repurpose some of the stuff that I have? I have tons of accessories that I can literally pull up and look and say, So I got this Venom. I got an extra one with the special edition, and I painted it green and red, and it looks exactly like a poison ivy. Monster.
Dude. So, I mean, it's a little phallic. I will say it's a little phallic, but it is very cool. I will give you that,
It looks
buddy.
a little bit like
And
a
he painted it the right color.
Yeah. Yep.
It
Thank
looks
you.
like a
on,
tiny.
Ireland.
It looks like a tiny little version of the plant from Little Shop of Horrors.
Yes. Thank
yes.
you. Yep. That's exactly
Very-
what I was going for.
Heck yeah. And we've got a really
But
cool...
it's really funny you mentioned you thought I was a statue, because it does have that sort of glistening that looks like a statue. But I've been trying to perfect a method to kind of paint silicone, and the best way is to use chalk.
Interesting.
Use a dry brush, and it's been working so far. It doesn't rub off, and I use a sealant with a little bit of pearl scent color, and when you see it, it does look like a statue, but it's a
does.
posable figure.
Well, and I think the base is what I also was thinking too, because of the
Got
the
it.
pretty epic base that it's on. So like you don't normally see 6 scale posed up like that. So that's cool, man. And I love custom stuff.
Do you know
And
where this base is from?
I don't.
McFarlane Predator
Interesting.
from the 90s. It's a
That
12
is
inch.
really
I don't know if
cool.
anybody collects McFarlane toys, but they made a
I have too many of
Predator,
them.
Yeah.
I'm trying
So
not to collect them
found
anymore.
that. It was perfect for that.
Dude, that's amazing. Guys, if you haven't already, please go over after the show today. Check out Figurecraft's YouTube. We're going to highlight his channel a little bit later as well, because he's got an interesting segment for us today talking a little bit about some cameras that he uses. Some of the photographies that he's been doing lately, and his video editing has been really, really on point. I always have a lot of questions about video editing pictures, so maybe I'll get some tips as well. I asked him to dumb it down for me as much as humanly possible, though, because anytime we talk about, Shane was mentioning like apertures, or, if it doesn't sing me to sleep at night at the same time, that DSLRs and all the things, it's too complex, and I need it to be dumbed down. So, Philly, I'm glad you're
And
here.
Philly, you do stop motion too, right?
I do some stop motion as well. Yeah.
Yes, I thought so. I thought I saw someone on your page. I was like, now that is very cool. So I think I might have to sit and chat with you privately sometime about that. I find that very interesting.
Anytime, buddy. Thanks.
And crispy display in the back there, buddy. So very excited to see what's going on. The bat signal just is like flickering at me, and it keeps catching my eyes. So
Yeah, if that's kind of drawing attention, let me know. I'll turn it off. But somebody told me that I thought it was part of the, to keep the thing going running, but apparently it's a default. So I gotta contact Jazz Inks and get that switched out. So if it's glaring, let me know. I'll turn it off.
do you notice it as much in person, or is it more like when you're on camera that you notice it?
Probably when you're on camera. In fact, I'll probably just turn it off so that way.
Might be the type of light that it is. I wonder.
Kind of cool though, the way it kind of
Yeah,
comes in and out. Leave it on.
Leave it on.
I'm good with it. It's not distracting for me. Let us know in the chat if it distracts you
does.
guys, but otherwise I'm good with it. So, Now, Philly, this is your first time on the show. Every Let's Get Nuts show, I do want to start with a bit of a warm-up. Now, sometimes the warm-ups are very serious. Sometimes the warm-ups are a little bit silly. But I've been gone from you guys for a while. I don't remember the last time we had a silly one, and I am curious what the chat is going to say about this, and I'm curious to see what the panel is going to say about this. So, I am a lover, not a fighter. Let's be honest. No, I don't want to get punched in the face. Nobody wants that. But if I was going to fight somebody, Mike Tyson would definitely not be the person that I would go after. Jake Paul, who gives a fuck about Jake Paul, let's be honest, I've hated this guy for a while, is about to, in my opinion, to get his ass beat by Mike Tyson here on July the 20th, which will be streaming on Netflix, which is really interesting. Now, that got my attention because I've honestly never paid for a fight before. But if it's on Netflix, that I have Netflix, I would consider watching this because I am very curious to see the outcome of this. I was watching some highlight reels of Mike Tyson in his early days, the late 80s, early 90s. And the guy was scary in the ring in a lot of ways. I mean, the man could take some crazy hits. And he was laying some big dudes out. Like, some of these guys came in very, very confidently and left with their tail between their legs. Now, Mike Tyson is now in his 50s, maybe even, I think late 50s, mid 50s, somewhere in that range. But I would also say that the man has had so many fights in his life, he knows if he's going to win or not. So my money, if I was going to bet money on this, is still on Tyson to win. But I want to hear from you guys and tell me in the chat as well, who will win this fight, Classy Thomas?
Jake, go home. Okay. Save yourself the embarrassment. Save yourself the pain. Just go home. Tyson's got this.
100%. 100%. Now, what do you think the backlash will be if Jake somehow wins the fight, Classy? Do you think they'll say it's rigged? Do you think they'll say, like, Mike pulled his punches? Do you think that's even possible?
That will be the only way where I could see that happening. But I don't know that Mike Tyson has the ability to really pull back. I mean, not saying that he's not a skilled boxer. I don't think it's in him to not give 100% of himself in a fight. And if I feel that Mike Tyson is going to fight anybody because his presumption would be, you got to be at my level. So if Jake Paul is in a fight with him, he's probably thinking, all right, Jake Paul must feel he's at my level, so I can sit down here and fight freely with him. So yeah, I think it's going to be over quick, and who knows? I mean, if Mike's hungry, he might take a little nibble on one of those ears. And
can you imagine if it takes 1 minute or less? Like, he's laid out dudes in like 60 seconds. Can you imagine if all this hype, all the things, you're tuning into Netflix and it's boom like that? Now, Shane, I'd be curious. Obviously, this is a money grab, but it also caught people like my attention, where I don't typically watch fighting like this. It got my attention. I'm curious. It's like tuning in for a train wreck. It's like you almost can't not see it. But is there a lose-lose here? Because, again, either way, these guys are walking away with a payday. If Tyson loses, I think that's kind of a lose for him. I think for Jake, there's almost no losing here, because he's walking away a rich man, or he's walking away somebody who can brag ridiculously going forward. And who do you think might win this fight? Do you have any differing opinion?
Okay, I hope Tyson kicks 7 different types of shite out of him, to be honest, because no one likes this guy. I don't like this guy at all. I don't know much about him, but I know I don't like him. But I hope Tyson wins. But at the same time, as much as Tyson has got himself back into shape, I remember, I haven't been following him too closely, but I remember a few years ago he kind of, he's an older man, he'd let himself go a bit, and now he's back in shape and he's fighting or training or whatever. But I mean, the logical side of me is like, okay, this guy still will go back into like beast mode and muscle memory will kick in, but he's quite old now as well. So I mean, I would imagine Jake Paul being a much younger man, the cardio might be better, the kind of, his conditioning and stuff like that. But in terms of skill set, I know, if assuming this is not fake, I'm assuming Tyson takes it home.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a lose-lose for Tyson, because he can always go, yeah, I got paid, and also I'm old enough to be this guy's father. Like, do you know what I mean? How much? What's the age gap here? Like,
yeah. Well, and the internet's going to be on fire either way, right? Because again, based on his age, if Jake somehow pulls it out and wins, everybody's going to be like, yeah, that's because you're fighting a senior at this point. So, like, good for you. You hit an old person.
Senior?
Wow, oh shit. I'm in trouble. I hate to say it.
I think that's a fair point. No disrespect to anyone, but it's, because you're a young guy. Yeah, fair enough.
A seasoned individual. Classy. A seasoned individual.
Okay.
Yes.
I think this is absolute nonsense. Like, this doesn't excite me at all. Like, to be honest.
It doesn't really excite me either, other than the fact that, again, it's kind of like watching a train wreck. Like, part of me just wants to see what happens.
Unlike you mentioned you'd never paid for a fight. Like, obviously, while I respect, I'm very careful. I want to be very consciously speaking about this. While I respect McGregor's training attitude and his vision and his drive in his earlier years and his skill set, and found him highly entertaining in his earlier career in terms of the discipline he had to go through with his training to build a skill set, to even to market himself and all that kind of stuff. I get all that and respect that and respect his skill set. I don't respect him as a human being. I think he's a horrible human being. From what I've seen and the way he's portrayed himself recently. But I have bought the fights in, and I've gone out and we've had many a good night out with one of my friends, having a few beers and putting on bets and watching those fights. But that is an actual sporting event. This here, it seems like performing seals in a way.
Heck yeah, dude. Philly, last but of course certainly not least, good sir. Have you ever paid for a fight? Is this one that excites you? Are you just going to tune in to see the end result, which could last less than a minute, let's be honest? Or what are your thoughts on this fighting of a seasoned individual? Better, Thomas? Seasoned?
I'd paid for it. I mean, I know it's a show, and your curiosity gets the best of you. But honestly, if it was let's say it's a normal fight and no show, no Netflix, and none of that stuff, basically comes down to basic, opponents. Which would you rather chop wood with? It a brand new axe or one that's been around for a while? They're chopping wood that's very tough and lasts you a long time. I think Mike Tyson is going to take the win for sure, because he's seasoned, he's got the skill, and he's hardened. People let themselves go, but you can easily get back in shape, and which he did. And I think he's going to take the win for sure. And
heck yeah.
The only thing is that if it's fixed, then that's another story.
I mean, if it's fixed, that would be so shitty. But I don't think it is. If it happens, I'll tune into the final result. Stay tuned, because Let's Get Nuts on our 30th episode, Classy Thomas and I are going to be going in the ring together, and I can't fight, so it's going to be really bad. It's going to be really bad. Guys, thanks for getting warmed up with me here. Again, this is weird entertainment news. It's a warm-up. It's meant to be a little bit silly. I love you guys. Thanks for all the comments. I'm reading them as they come through. And you guys are hilarious, let's be honest. Now, before we get into the main show, because we've got lots of entertainment news and some figure news to talk about, I do want to shout out the channel members for the Ben Thomas Show. The Tough Nut crew is growing. And I told you guys 2 weeks ago on the last show, once we hit 30 members, we're going to be giving a figure away. Right now, the winner is so far King Shark for the most votes. So we're looking at giving a King Shark away. We've got the Tough Nut crew here as Elvin J, Collecting Weekly, Money Mendez, Six Scale Mafia, Katera, Feezy's Figures, King Dingling, Sith Scale Collector, Paul Schreiber, The Batman, The Movie Canon, 1/6 Figure, Focus, SpongeBob Square, Balls, The _ Empire Strikes, Peter Cass, Ryan Smith, Collector Joey, Sam Gist, 14 Wellington, Jose G. Hernandez, 12-inch Moose Stream, Collection Obsession, Blurred Dad Life, Danny Spotchka, Rachel Miller, Honest Hansel, and Action in the Box. Guys, we are at 27 members. If you're interested in becoming it, $1.99 to become the Tough Nut crew. You'll have your little badge beside your name. Any of the badges down below, the up-and-comer, the Bat Nut Begins, the Dark Nut, and the rest there you guys can see. The link is in the chat there for you guys. Some of your emojis here, we've added the Tough Nut, the Nut Buster logo there. We're going to talk a little bit about Ghostbusters today, maybe very briefly, so be ready with the Nut Buster logo, guys, if you're a channel member. And then, of course, these are the badges here, a better look at them for you guys. As well as I did want to shout out really quickly, just in terms of the Ben Thomas Show, the channel just surpassed 1 million views, which is crazy. Crazy to think about.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for watching week over week, all the content that I post. It's very, very appreciated. The very first video I ever posted, I remember the first 30 views that I got, and I was like, oh my god, this is going to be way harder than I expected. So 1 million views is literally insane. I know some guys do that in one video. For me, that's like a lifetime achievement, and I love you guys for it. So
Keep it up, Ben. You'll be fighting Mike Tyson in no time.
I'm going to be fighting Mike Tyson in the YouTuber boxing matches. But guys, let's say hello to the chat, because we got 42 people here. If you don't mind, hit the presumptive like at the bottom. It just helps drive traffic to the show. In case people don't know, we do this every Sunday. I love you guys. Let's say hi to everybody.
Is that everyone? I keep wanting more.
Nuts!
Assemble.
Guys, we have 43 people watching live. We got Mr. Brick Artemis here himself. He says, let's get nuts. I want to have Brick on the show here pretty soon, so stay tuned for that. Noble Young here in the chat. Nut, pound, and face. Love to see it. Oh, that's me. We got Cylon X-Men. Is this X-Men Supreme, or is this a new name? Let me know, guys. But if this is different person, good to see you here either way. He says, yay, let's get nuts finally here. Love to see it. We got Shiny in the chat. Let's get D's. Action Figure Academy. Hello, everyone. Let's go, Benjamin. Good to see you. We got 1 6-figure focus here. I'm going to offend somebody if I try and say this. Lisa Nalgaib. Huh? Maybe close? I'll work on it. We got Mr. 12-inch. Thank you. We got 12-inch Moose Stream here. Hello, community of collectors. Time to get nut up. Love to see it. We've got Community Arcade here. Feeling nutty. Hello, friends. Good to see you, buddy. We've got Blurred Dad Life, one of our channel members here. He says, the nuts are back. We got TX Boy 210. Yo, afternoon collectors. Good to see you here, buddy. We got Noble Young here in the chat with us as well. We've got channel member _Empire Strikes. He says, hello, panel and chat. Feels weird watching this at 5 p.m. being stateside. I can imagine that for sure, especially if you're hearing me read all these names over your dinner table. I apologize to any wives or children that I'm upsetting in the background. Love to see you guys. So we got Low-Key Collector here in the chat. Kelvin himself. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Let's get nuts, fellas. That still a little bit looks like a flying banana to me in the picture. I'm not going to lie. Maybe I just got to get a better resolution or some glasses. We'll find out. Cylon X-Men, we got you there, buddy. Let's see here. Make sure I don't miss anybody, of course. We got Mr. Jose G. Hernandez here in the chat. Says, hello, everyone. Good to see you here, buddy. I'm sure we'll have Jose. I'm sure we'll have him back here in the next week or two. I know he wasn't able to make it today. He was willing to be a sub-in late if needed, so I do appreciate that, good sir. We got SpongeBob SquareBalls, Classy Thomas himself here as well. We got Ryan Dean in the chat. Good to see you. Always filled with lots of great tips, especially on the entertainment news side. Always appreciate you being here, buddy. He says, what's up, all? Hope the weekend has been treating everyone well. So far, so good, sir. We got Figurecraft himself here, of course, in the panel and on the chat as well. Wow. Oh, we got Darth Tamaris here in the chat. Make sure you go over and check out his YouTube channel. I've had him in my chat a bunch of times, and it was literally like last week that I found out you actually had a channel, good sir. And so I apologize, not trying to be a fake fan by any stretch. There's just so many good creators out there, so you guys got to be like, watch my shit, Ben. And I would appreciate that. We got Action Figure Academy here. It says, careful, Benjamin. I'm sure that was about the age thing. I apologize. I didn't mean to offend anybody. I love all ages. I'm willing to take my licks on that, of course. We got Clinton Martin here in the chat. Hello. All everyone wants to see is Paul destroyed. Yeah, you're honestly not wrong. We got the sweet Mark Pearson here in the chat. He says, the sad part is neither are actually going 100%. Tyson's training has been taking mushrooms and smoking weed since the 90s, and Paul was born in the 90s. What a joke. I mean, mushrooms and weed might do it. You never know. We got the channel member himself here, Collection Obsession with Nut Fun. Hello, collectors. Good to see you here. I think, we got, is that Hozu Collectibles? Hozu? Jozu? Let me know, is it Hozu or Jozu, please? Congrats, Ben. Thank you for the congrats, my friend.
That's Jose Minus.
Oh, Jose Minus, maybe.
It's an imposter.
We got the movie canon himself here, channel member as well. Good to see you, buddy. We got Mark P in the chat. Hello, collectors. We got JB. Hello. Very easy to say. Thank you for that short and sweet message, good sir. I appreciate you. Chris Selfridge in the chat with a good afternoon as well. Adrian Cervantes. Adrian Cervantes says, every what do you change your Hot Toys pose? Oh my gosh, I apologize. I'm having a hard time reading your comments, sir. I think he's saying, how often do we change our Hot Toys poses?
I'm thinking that's what
and for me, probably not enough. But if I do start to get a little fatigued with the figure, that's usually when I'll pull it out of the case and change it up. My most recent figure example of that would have been my Neo. Actually, I was talking to Shane about it kind of just on Instagram about Neo and watching the Dean Knight video and everything, and I decided to tweak it, and now it's easily one of my favorite figures again in the collection. So I don't think it's something that you have to feel compelled to do unless you're starting to feel a little bit of fatigue with the figure, for sure. But do you guys have any other take on that? How often do you guys do it there?
You nailed it.
Nailed it.
You nailed it,
Yeah.
I like putting a lot of effort out of the box into, like, I wouldn't say forever pose, but a long-term pose, and just go, right, that's it, and I leave it there for, could be like 6 months, could be a year. But if there's some poses that are like not entirely there, or if the figure you nailed it exactly. Just tweak and change.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, if I have mine in a that's already in a case, then I don't really do a whole lot of changing of the cases. But I have lots of figures that I keep out of the case that I actively am working with, and those I change often. So yeah, I think though that if I ever grew tired of the way a display looked, then I will go in there and change it at that time.
Heck yeah. Well said, boys. Well said. Now, we got through everybody, I think, so far. If I missed anybody, make sure you shout me out there. Thanks so much for being here on the Sunday afternoon. Let's get the show going here, guys, because we got lots of entertainment news, and I'm curious on this topic. Now, we got to be a little careful because I don't want to get myself demonetized, of course. This is a bit of a speculative post at this point because I don't know if any details have been 100% confirmed yet, but X-Men 97 is here. And I don't know if you guys have had a chance to watch it. I grew up with Batman the Animated Series. I grew up with the X-Men. I grew up with Ninja Turtles, Superman the Animated Series, and so many more. And X-Men was easily one of my favorite. Now, showrunner Beau DeMayo, right before, like days before the show went live on Disney+, his Instagram was deleted, kind of all of his social media gone, and the speculation there was that he was either terminated or potentially left on his own terms. Now, I don't know exactly the details of this, so it's speculative, but then updates in the news sounded like there may have been some controversy around this person having an OnlyFans account. And that could be the reason he was potentially either let go or left on his own terms. So I was curious from you guys, because we all have our own professional lives and our own professional careers. Do you feel that an OnlyFans is a good enough reason to get yourself fired from your current job or from something like a Disney Plus show? Is it just because the mouse is attached to this and otherwise nobody would have cared? Because I'm not going to lie, I didn't know who this person was before this controversy even popped up. Didn't even know who he was. So I wouldn't have cared whether he had an OnlyFans or not. It wasn't like he was a public figure to me. But I don't think that it's necessarily fair to get terminated from your career over something like that, if that's in fact the legitimate reason for the change of the guard here. Now, the other thing is, just so you guys are aware, he had already basically written season 2, it sounds like, at this point. And so, like, a lot of time invested with Disney and Marvel for this to happen over something potentially silly. I think it's a silly reason. I don't think anybody should lose their career over that. I think, something like OnlyFans is legal. You're an adult. as long as you are an adult and you know what you're getting yourself into, you know what you're signing yourself up for, I don't think that should wreck your life potentially. But I'd be curious to see what you guys think, because again, we all have varying levels of career, and how do you feel about it? So Shane, I'm going to actually start with you on this one first, buddy, because I know you have a sensitive career type versus some of the rest of us.
This question is hilarious, Ben.
I sell paint.
I'm struggling here, man. I'm struggling to keep. I completely disagree with you, man. Just for people in chat, I'm a secondary school or high school, as you call it, chemistry teacher. 100%. I think there are certain jobs where, yeah, absolutely, it is a fireable offence. And I'll say that unapologetically. Certain things, certain careers, no, you shouldn't be doing that kind of stuff. And that's my opinion and a hard line on this. And that's pretty much it. I think it's completely inappropriate for certain careers, and maybe other careers doesn't really matter at all. But yeah.
Yeah, like I sell paint jobs, so if somebody saw my ass online, I don't know if anybody would even care. But
yeah, like who I'm just I don't want to go any deeper into this topic, to be honest. I just think
okay.
No, for certain careers I do think it's a fireable offence, and also that certain careers you're not actually, is written into your contract where you are not supposed to have a second job or second source of income, because you need the job could be so stressful that you need to be on your off time actually resting and enjoying yourself so that you can cope with the stress of the job that you have. So
maybe they are enjoying themselves on OnlyFans.
Maybe they are, but I still think maybe they are, but I still would say it is a fireable offence, depending on the job that you have, respectfully.
What jobs in particular do you think are mostly the ones?
I think working with kids and working with minors is a pretty damn that's I don't think I have to finish that sentence respectfully, Thomas.
Well, that makes sense. You know, if you're working with kids, I mean, I can definitely see that.
Yeah, I agree. I can agree with that. What do you think, Classy? Is this something that, and again, it's an uncomfortable topic, right? Because we're talking about like kind of a private life, a private career of this person. Like, as I said, I didn't know who this person was before this controversy. Now he's blasted all over the internet and he's potentially losing his job over it. But it's not like he's making a cartoon for Disney Plus. But let's be honest, this show is also meant for all the 35 to 40-year-old people who used to watch this 30 years ago, not necessarily just for the kids. But I get it, it's the mouse and it's family friendly, and so the optics can be difficult. What do you think, Classy?
Well, all right. I think I agree partially with Shane. I think that if you're working directly with children, I could definitely see where this would be problematic, especially to parents.
Agreed. 100%.
However, if your work is with an animated series, for example, you're behind the scene, people aren't seeing you. It's not like you're out there where people would necessarily notice you or know who you are necessarily, because I've never heard of Bo DeMaio before, or Bo DeMaio. Then I kind of think that might be a little bit, I don't know, to me that's a little bit more iffy. For example, there's a swing dancer that I follow who actually recently started up an OnlyFans, but he doesn't show anything lewd. He doesn't show any frontal nudity, or even any rear nudity. There'll be more like art or tasteful, what people call tasteful nudes, where basically nothing is outwardly showing or something like that. And I said, well, to me that's okay. That's not something which is that someone could be or should be easily offended by. Mm-hmm. But then again, people's sensitivities are changing. I think I'd seen a YouTube video where people went to see some of the great works of art by Michelangelo and stuff like that. There was a woman who was complaining about the David because his penis was exposed. I'm like, his penis has been exposed for how many hundreds of years, and you're just now complaining?
Whoa! Spoiler!
Get the man a loincloth. The guy's all out on display.
So yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, I think that sometimes people take some things a little too seriously. I don't think that this was necessarily a fireable exchange, and also I don't know the content of his OnlyFans. There's some people that put a OnlyFans up where they're showing a different side of their life, but I think one person said they put things that are a little too racy for YouTube, and we all know that YouTube is probably so restrictive that being a little bit racier than YouTube isn't really saying that much. So yeah, I don't know about his particular situation, but I don't know. I just think it's I think it's much ado about nothing. Yeah, 520 years of that just being out in the open, and nobody has taken the time to complain about it up until now.
And it's
That's a
somebody's
good point. Sorry, Ben. That's a really good point that Classy Thomas mentioned, that like this man had an OnlyFans and people already they automatically assumed, maybe you hear OnlyFans, you assume, okay, it must be of a sexual nature, but it mightn't have been that. Might be like behind the scenes type of stuff. I don't know. So maybe there's a lot like that. That's a gripping headline, isn't it? Like a OnlyFans. So therefore the guy gets fired. Like it's kind of clickbaity. You know what I mean? So that I don't know or care to know what was on the man's any man's OnlyFans, to be honest. But like just on the topic, it's like with my job, I have to, even as a YouTube content creator, I still have to accept that if I want to do this, you are essentially giving people who might find it a window into part of your personality and part of your personal life, and I accept that. But I always have to be, I think we all on some level have to conduct ourselves in a somewhat, not a professional is too strong a word, like, because we're not doing this professionally, but I still personally, like with my job, I do have to kind of conduct myself in a way that, like, okay, students could find your YouTube channel, and then they might show it to their parents. So I always have to be on some sort of an even keel. Yeah, the odd swear word gets by me, but like that's fine. Like, but I mean, there'd be certain topics I'd be like, no, I'm not going to talk about that. You know what I mean? And that's just what I have to do. Like, so I'm kind of like conscious of, like, obviously what's happened to this man it's a much bigger
extreme
step
example.
up, like, extreme example, but.
But it's part of the reason I wanted to bring it up, Shane. And as I said, I know it can be a bit of an uncomfortable subject. So, and I apologize, Philly, because this is your first time here, and I'm just throwing you right in the freaking deep end here, buddy. But like being on YouTube,
welcome
like this,
to Let's Get Nuts.
Yeah, being on YouTube like this, you absolutely are right, Shane. Like you are kind of putting yourself out here. Like, right? I accidentally said somebody was old. Like I said that Tyson's old, and suddenly like 3 people unsubscribe from you because they're like, well, screw that guy, right? You do have to be careful with what you say. On the other hand, like, censoring yourself is important, but I also think that having a private life is important, and I think you should be allowed to have a private life while still working in sensitive jobs, as long as you're doing it like the right way. And like you said, clickbait wise, 100%. You hear the word OnlyFans, you immediately think the worst possible content ever. But yeah, like, what if it is literally a behind the scenes and the creative process of his artwork, right? Like, and because that is something that I would actually be interested in seeing. I love X-Men, so we're talking Philly later today. He's going to tell us a little bit about his camera work and how he does some of his stuff, and it's like that is an interesting thing to discover. So, Philly, let's be honest, right? I think this clip applies.
Yeah, but your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they didn't stop to think if they should.
Could versus should. Do you think that this, if allegedly this person has been let go because of this, do you think that that's fair? Do you think that this person's private life should be kept private at this point? I mean, this has trickled down as far as a show like Let's Get Nuts. Everybody's been talking about this poor guy. And maybe he's really not done anything wrong. Is that worth losing your career over? What are your thoughts, especially now that you're making that entrance into YouTube yourself and putting yourself out there in the public?
Well, I do agree keeping a private life. I mean, I told you I had a private Instagram with just family, so
yeah.
And I have a separate with my side job. So, but I do I do agree with Classy. I agree with, also with Shane. They both have a good opinion about that. And but I think Disney is one of the largest family corporation. You don't think before you hire somebody you have some kind of clause in a contract saying that you can't do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I think there's more to what's going on. And I think they said they had their all set, they went in their separate ways. And seeing the show, which I absolutely love, I'm starting to see certain things that I kind of see why perhaps they didn't want to keep him, because maybe the show was going in a direction that they didn't want to. But I mean, we'll never know. They're not going to talk about it. But I think there is more going on than just that.
Must be.
And I think just people are just saying that because they want to find an excuse for it. So.
Absolutely. Well said, Philly.
And don't you think that Disney, of all places, would have done a background check to see if there was anything maybe controversial in this person's life? I mean, come on. There's
You'd
gotta
think
be
that, but
something
people's
we don't
lives
know about.
change though, right? I mean, they put all
do.
their money on Jonathan Majors, and like that went really sideways too, right? Like there's different situations, different strokes, but still, like people are people. And people make bad decisions even if they don't intend to be.
Yeah, especially with the recent, there's Jonathan Majors, there was Neymar. What happened with Neymar? Everybody stopped talking about him. I liked his portrayal of Neymar on Wakanda, but there are allegations against him, and all of a sudden you haven't seen him in any movies. So
It's true.
I'm pretty sure Disney's literally airtightening their contracts to make, because they can't afford what happened. Jonathan Majors happened to another actor again.
Well said, boys. Thank you. I did realize it. Well said, guys. Thank you for the topic. And again, difficult conversation, but worth it, I think.
Sorry, I put it in the private chat. Maybe you didn't realize. Philly reminded me of something that he mentioned, that Disney is a family kind of organization, and they have been marketing themselves as such. But myself and Megan watched Poor Things the other night on Disney Plus. If anyone in the chat has watched Poor Things, or maybe just I'll summarize it.
I was talking about that movie today.
It's nominated for Best Picture this year. This is what Emma Stone got the award for, and there's nothing family friendly about it, but it's on Disney Plus, so it's kind of in a way
That
double
is a good
standards
point,
here.
actually, as well.
Same thing with Deadpool. I mean, come on.
Yep, yeah. They're yinging and yanging.
Well said, especially about Poor Things. I watched that movie. I watched the first half.
I
wouldn't
recommend it. Would you recommend it?
I don't think I would recommend it, because I think if you recommended it, whoever you recommended it to would be like, "Man, you are twisted."
No.
I watched the second half of it because I was like, I still wanted to know what happened, and I did like. I would say, looking back at it as a whole, I did like it, but it made me feel uncomfortable for sure. The whole film.
100%. I get you. And I think it's supposed to. And I'm no strangers to movies that make me feel uncomfortable, but I wouldn't recommend it in terms of, I knew watching that movie, I'm never going to watch this again. Whereas if you've ever watched Black Mirror on Netflix, the very first pilot episode is messed up, but I would recommend Black Mirror, and I recommend, even though it's an anthology, start off with the first one. And people have come to me from work going, I watched it with my girlfriend, what the hell were you thinking? The pig episode, insane, bloody good TV. I would recommend another Best Picture nominee this year. I watched American Fiction last night. Chef's kiss. Yeah, really good.
Well, see, and see with that, I agree. I'm so glad you all said that, because I like it when people tell me what to expect, because, see, I like twisted movies. Look, I'm a huge John Waters fan, and if any of you have seen practically any of his movies, but particularly his early ones, everybody can't take John Waters. Now, that's the kind of twisted stuff that I like seeing, like Multiple Maniacs, Female Troubles. I mean, those are some insane movies.
Don't get us demonetized here, Classy.
I didn't say what was in it, though.
Okay.
But I love those movies. I also enjoyed that movie called Brazil, which is the weirdest movie I have ever seen. I think it was one of the guys from Monty Python was in it. or had done something like that with it. And it's the weirdest movie, but see, I like things like that. And I like things that make me kind of scratch my head and say, what is going on here? So I would be one that would be drawn to what was it, Pretty Things? Is that the name of it? Is that the one that y'all
Sorry,
were
Poor
talking?
Things.
Poor
Things.
Things. Okay. I will be watching that.
Sounds good. Let's guys move on because we got lots more to chat about. But thank you for the thoughts on there. We have 50 people or just under watching. Hit the like if you guys can. Help drive some traffic to the show, and definitely give your thoughts if you're watching this on the replay. Keep it, positive and please appropriate. But I still think it's worthy of discussing for sure, guys. Right. James Bond is in the news once again. We've had a lot of great James Bonds over the years. I think based on the time of my life, I really did like the Sean Connery Bond. But I would say as a kid with my dad and kind of movie nights on a Friday with some popcorn and stuff, I probably watched the Pierce Brosnan ones the most of all of them. And that might be sacrilegious to folks out there who are huge Bond fans. I totally get it. But I always loved Pierce. I thought he was really suave. I honestly thought, no shame to pit bulls, but I always thought that Daniel Craig was kind of like the pit bull to the Pierce Brosnan. Like, I don't understand why he had any sex appeal really at all. Now, he was a great action star, and ultimately I did really warm up to his Bond for sure, but Pierce is still kind of my guy. Now, in the news right now, it's official that at least Aaron Taylor Johnson has been offered the role. He hasn't necessarily accepted it yet, so this could still change. But of course, Aaron Taylor Johnson, he's going to be the new Kraven in the upcoming Sony Marvel hybrid, I guess now. I think it's still technically Sony, but in that verse anyways. I'm excited tentatively for that because I did enjoy some of the things that I saw from the Venom films, but then I hated Madam Web, and so... I'm cautiously optimistic, but I think he'll do the best he can as Kraven with the material he's given. And I think the action that they've shown from the trailer looks gritty and bloody and violent and all the kind of stuff that I'd hoped to see from Kraven. So I'm excited for that. Him as Bond, though, I'm not totally convinced yet. But I really wasn't convinced about Daniel Craig, and I still ultimately liked some of his films. So, Philly, what are your thoughts on Aaron Taylor Johnson potentially being the next Bond, and who is your favorite Bond?
I think it's a logical choice because they're looking for an investment, and he's at the right age bracket. He is a seasoned actor. He is a good action star. He's proved himself in Kick-Ass and other roles, and I think he's a valid choice. I personally would have gone with Henry Cavill because he has that more charm, like you're talking about, like Pierce had. This guy is more like Daniel Craig. He reminds me a lot of Daniel Craig, and I think that's what they're looking for. Somebody to invest for the next 10, 15 years to do as many bonds as they can to get as much as a ROI back, so return on investment.
Yeah, I mean, I have a girlfriend. I'm happy to say I really like the ladies, but if Henry Cavill smiled at me, I'd even get a little, butterfly going on there. Like, he's got that suave thing,
He's got that suave.
Whereas, like, I agree, like, while Aaron Taylor Johnson, I think he could make a great action star. I think that there's a lot he could do with it. I don't see him being that guy who can walk into anywhere and literally distract the villain with his ability to sway the ladies and sway the competition and kind of move the needle like a Bond, in my opinion, in my mind's eye, should be able to do. But I'd be happy to be wrong.
That's James Bond in a nutshell. No pun intended. I mean,
absolutely. That's
James Bond right there. So we need that. And for them to pass up Henry Cavill, it's kind of an opportunity missed. And just kind of like he tried being Superman 2005, they missed him and he eventually got it, but he's getting past that age where, I mean, it may be a little too late. I mean, Pierce Brosnan was as old as, I don't know what age he started. I think he started a little older, but it's never too late.
Yeah, 100%. And again, I'm happy to be wrong. Bond's been around for so many years that I think different versions of the character can be welcomed. I once heard at one point that they were considering even a female Bond. Now, I don't know exactly how they would do that just with the name, but still, I mean, maybe there's women out there with the name James, and I just don't know about it. So, Shane, what are your thoughts on the possible casting, anyways, if he accepts the role of Aaron Taylor Johnson as the next Bond?
My God,
who's your favorite Bond?
I hope there's never a female Bond. I'm just going to say that straight out, folks. James Bond, he's a white Englishman. That's what the books have him. He is a cold-blooded, narcissistic, womanizing asshole. He's a high-functioning alcoholic. Closest to the books, Timothy Dalton, believe it or not, was actually closest to the books. My favorite Bond is actually Daniel Craig. No, he's not a pretty boy, but my God, he did an amazing job. Those 5 movies, a bit like my favorite Spider-Man is Tom Holland, it's based on the strength of the movies. Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame, No Way Home. So maybe that's the way I judge things, but he is, like, Tom Holland, my favorite Spider-Man based on the movies and his performance as well. Craig absolutely nailed it. It was a proper action figure. He was like, yeah, he was a bit rugged around the edges, but it absolutely worked. 5 movies. Okay, 4 good ones and then the Quantum of Solace, but a solid story arc, which we'd never seen in a James Bond. Absolutely loved Daniel Craig's. Brought the real world. It was like the Batman Begins of, I'm pretty sure the first Craig Bond movie, I know it was Casino Royale. I'm pretty sure I read that the director of that saw Batman Begins and said, that's how you do a reboot, and then was inspired by that, because those movies were awesome. If you go back and watch, I know Connery, everyone loves Connery and Roger Moore and stuff like that, but the movies, I still watch them, but like they are ridiculous. Like they're really like tongue-in-cheek, and some of the stuff, like, you know, Bond like talking to M, who's obviously male, and he has his like latest Bond girl and he smacks her on the ass and goes, move, man talk. You just wouldn't get away with that today. Like, no, I didn't make that up. That's literally a quote. You would not get away with that today. Like, do you know what I mean? And it's like, look, it's they were all had their own thing. Connery had his charm. Dalton, you know, it was not a lot of people liked. I actually liked Timothy Dalton. Roger Moore had his charm as well. George Lazenby had his one movie, but Brosnan, sorry man, Brosnan has one movie, and that's GoldenEye. The rest of them were so goddamn ridiculous. I could not get on board with them. And he's Irish. He's from like my girlfriend's grandfather Tom, who's 83, babysat Pierce Brosnan when he was a kid. He babysat James Bond.
That's
that was
a cool
fact.
Story.
That's a cool story.
It's
a fact, because he's from Navan. It's about like 40 minutes up the road. No, I, in terms of the movies and performance, I loved what Daniel Craig did with the role. We're at the other ends of the spectrum.
There you go. Nope, that's okay. I love that. That's my favorite part of the show, hearing what you guys have to say and the differing opinions. And Philly, just so you know,
sorry Ben, just I hate to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
No, good. It's good.
Sometimes I think people are so scared about getting cancelled they don't say what they think, and I don't think there's anything offensive about me saying I don't want to see a female Bond.
No,
there are so many good, strong female characters out there,
sure.
Right? And they're not all the old ones like Sarah Connor and Ripley. Those days are gone, and they were amazing. They weren't just even strong female characters; they were strong characters.
Yeah.
But there's plenty other female roles with that we would go watch and
well, because we had that talk a couple weeks back when we were talking about the potential female Silver Surfer, right? And everybody was like, "Oh, well, we don't want a female Silver Surfer," but there's actually been a female Silver Surfer, at least in the comics. Like that character does technically exist. Whereas you're right, like there hasn't been a female James Bond yet in any of the canon. So I agree. Leave that one alone, maybe for that, and give us somebody that we can be excited about for another 10 or 15 years going forward. Pierce Brosnan was 42 in his first outing there as James Bond in GoldenEye 1995, and Daniel Craig was 38 in Casino Royale. So,
and in that great shape.
Yes.
Yeah. How old?
When he came out of the water, that was just like when Halle Berry came out of the water. In that, the two of them coming out of the water, looking the way they looked, and having and being at the ages that they are. I mean, they weren't in their 20s. They were seasoned men and women, and they looked amazing. Now, Daniel Craig, of course, he's got a bottom face or a butter face, but only her. I mean, he's not the prettiest boy, but there's a suaveness to him that I think is kind of appealing. But then also at the same token, he also has that kind of I'm a tough guy type of thing with a push of sophistication to it. That's what I enjoyed about that reboot. Now, I was a big Roger Moore fan because, see, I grew up with him. And I still remember Moonraker and Jaws and Mayday, you know, Grace Jones. I mean, those are classic to me, but that was a time when it was a little bit more tongue in cheek, a little bit where James Bond was not taken as seriously. But when they kind of got a little bit further on, that's when the character started getting a little bit more serious. And I think when they rebooted under Craig, that kind of fit the times. During these times, having a man walking around driving in his Aston Martin and then just kind of coming out with a glass of champagne as he's driving and not spilling it. I mean, come on, that's not realistic. But having this, when I'll tell you what, and I think it was in Casino Royale when they had that scene where he was free running through the city after that criminal.
That was cool.
Yes.
Man, that was amazing. And I think that Aaron Taylor Johnson, you know, there's a lot of actors when I heard that he was being offered, I said, you know what, I think I can see that, because he definitely is seasoning himself a little bit more. I mean, he had the younger, less mature roles, but now he seems to be moving into a different era in his acting, and I will be very interested. Plus, I will be very, very excited to hear him speaking in his natural voice. These Brits and people from that area who do American accents, we forget that they're not American. And so I really am excited to hear what his actual voice sounds like and to hear him acting using that voice. That will be very exciting for me. I mean, look at that picture
Ben,
of
you're
him
on
in the
mute, I
suit.
believe.
Damn it, thank you. I said the man's got had a glow up. Let's be honest. When I think back about like young Aaron Taylor Johnson, I'm like, that's the kick-ass kind of guy I think of, right? And like, yeah, I mean, good on them. Good on them. I'm kind of excited to see what happens.
Ben, really quick, I know Shane stepped out, but I think it was very interesting. He was mentioning about the director watching Batman Begins. And if you look at this, if you look at the Brosnan movies and Batman Forever, Batman and Robin, there were cheese, and they're identity of the time, the '90s, and we love cheese. I mean, we love cheese in Bond movies. We love cheese sometimes in Batman movies, but then all of a sudden they got serious with Christopher Nolan, Batman Begins, and then that's when they started rebooting James Bond, and they started going with story-driven movies, and they did great. I mean, they did an awesome job. I agree. Daniel Craig did an amazing job because there was an arc. Now you have Batman that it's no longer Ben Affleck and also what's his name, Dark Knight trilogy.
Christian Bale?
No,
Christian Bale.
Oh yeah, Bale.
Yeah. Now you have Pattinson. So they're looking for somebody younger who can take that, approach, and then they're going something with a mixture of story and also visually appealing. And I think they're trying to do the same thing with Aaron Taylor Johnson, similar to kind of Batman.
Because if Aaron's 33, he's got a lot of life left in him. I mean, hopefully, anyways. Knock on wood, of course. Yeah. Idris Elba, I think, would have made a lovely Bond. I love his accent. I love, again, talk about suave. The man is a king. But he's already 51. And again, not that that's old, but it is old to maybe start that role and start, a kind of another decade worth of movies. Just the physical ability, right? I mean, would get pretty difficult after a while. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting news. I will be curious to see how this goes, guys. So let's move on because we got a few more things, and I still want to, of course, talk about some 6 scale news today as well. The Joker popped up on Variety here, Joker 2, and the reason I wanted to just quickly mention this to you guys was because I was curious if this is changing your level of hype around the film, if you had any hype for this at all. The first Joker film with Joaquin Phoenix was very well received. It made lots of money. And originally, they really only planned to make one film, and that was it. It was supposed to be kind of a one and done. But of course, money speaks all languages, and they got a Joker 2 setup coming for us here with Lady Gaga in the Harley Quinn role. Now, of course, Lady Gaga is known for her music and some of her acting prowess. She's had a couple of, I think, good films under her belt for sure. Joker 2 musical details revealed. At least 15 cover songs, original tracks, may be added. So this, to me, initially, when people are like, well, I'm hearing it's going to be a musical, I kept kind of saying, well, I think there's going to be music in it, but I don't think it's going to be like a musical. I still think it'll be a film. Mm-hmm. But if we're talking at least 15 songs already in a 2.5 hour film, if it's that long, that is getting to be quite a bit of time spent singing and potentially dancing. So this, to me, actually does diminish my hype a little bit for this. I'm not really hoping for a musical representation of this film. I was kind of hoping more for kind of what we saw from the first film and kind of the evolution of that character. I hope that with all the music, it's not so divergent from the first that it feels like they kind of forced it just because they had a musician in the cast. So, Shane, what are your thoughts? Does this diminish your hype for Joker 2 at all? Is it about what you expected already? Are you even excited for this film at all? Like, where are you landing on Joker 2?
I'm really hyped for this. And this doesn't diminish my hype at all. I mean, Todd Phillips, you said it yourself, they did one movie and it was supposed to be it. And then it made, like, did it make $1 billion? Is it the biggest performing or rated movie at the box office or something like that?
Yep.
And he gets an opportunity to do a second one. And I don't know much about Todd Phillips, but he strikes me as the type of guy who's like, I'm not going to do the same shit twice. Like, I'm going to give him something different. We know Lady Gaga can act. We know Lady Gaga can sing. I had absolutely no interest in Lady Gaga until I went to see A Star Is Born, and she won me over. She wasn't dressed like a steak. You could actually see her face. She was wearing very little makeup compared to what she usually is. She's usually dressed up in some sort of weird pantomime thing, like out of Beetlejuice or something, you know? Mm-hmm. But she was just stripped back herself on a piano. She's an amazing voice, amazing singer, and she can act. Saw her in Gucci as well. Not a great movie. I didn't particularly like it anyway, but she can act. Mm-hmm. I think this is going to be different, and I think it's going to be good.
Okay, that helps. That got me kind of jazzed up. That was a good point. I like that. Philly, what are your thoughts? All the music. Yeah. Is this something that's detracting for your excitement or adding to the excitement or neutral?
Becoming a jukebox musical, that actually adds a lot more hype. I'm surprised you said you didn't weren't hype, Ben, because
it was taken away from me a little bit. It was.
Think of it. Okay, put yourself back in time when you watch Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one. What did you love besides the movie and the story? What did you love?
Great point.
Soundtrack, 100%.
Great point.
The soundtrack. Yeah.
I still listen to that soundtrack.
Yeah. So now Todd Phillips, he's incorporating into the movie. So that's even amazing because now the actors and actresses, they get to perform and sing. So I think it's a great opportunity. He's going to get some good tracks, especially from Warner Brothers. And you have good performers, and you got Lady Gaga that she definitely is a Harley. I mean, she looks the part and she can sing, and I think it's something going to be very special, and I think it's going to do really good in the theaters.
Cool. Well said, Philly. Well said. That helps. That's two of two great points. Classy Thomas, change my mind finally, buddy. 3 of 3. Do you feel the same way these guys are, or are you kind of where I was at? Like, maybe too much music? Is it going to be too musically? What's happening? What are your thoughts?
Well, you know, I'm a big fan of music. I love music, and I love music in movies. You know, I remember when I was a kid, and our drama club, when I was a senior, we took a day trip up to New York to see Dreamgirls, and it was amazing. And the whole thing was literally music. I mean, the lyrics, when they were speaking, it was music. I mean, there was, I don't even recall if there was any speaking. I can think that they really sang their lines. And so from then I've been a big fan of that. Now, a lot of people don't like things like that. Now, I don't know what I was expecting with the Joker too. But when you said 15 songs, like I went, whew, I said, boy, that's a lot of music. And I said, maybe this is going to be a musical. But then I also started thinking back to the Batman, and I remember that even Danny Elfman was actually scoring the track, the thing. But then Prince was so inspired that on his own, he sat down and wrote a whole bunch of songs for the movie and presented it to the producer and said, "Listen, I have some music for the movie." I think Danny Elfman was a little pissed about that, but what they did is that they took that music and they incorporated it into the film, and it was a whole bunch of tracks. And then Prince even did his own album of the Batman movie. And, which is amazing, by the way, if you've never heard it. I mean, but it has all the classics, Party Man and all that stuff. So, but what they did is that they took the music and they incorporated, for example, it wasn't like you hear one long number it's being sung, but like when the Joker was coming in or was doing that parade, they were playing Party Man. When and they did other things, and then at the end of the movie, when they were rolling credits, they did Scandalous, and they did a lot of stuff where they incorporated. So I imagine that this is going to be maybe a combination of that, where they will incorporate parts of the music as just part of the score, and then some of it will probably be performed directly by Lady Gaga. Now I don't know if Joaquin Phoenix sings.
He does.
Does
the Line. Walk the Line was an amazing film.
Oh, okay.
McKinley's saying it here, actually. Did an amazing job as Johnny Cash. And
okay.
I love it's a long movie, but it was an amazing film back in the day. I love
So
it.
if that's the case,
he did a great job at walking the line.
Oh my God.
So
Shiny, take that. How'd you like them apples?
Yeah, so we might wind up actually getting some good duets or something like that. So I'm kind of, now I'm getting a little bit excited. That's definitely a soundtrack that I will definitely be purchasing.
Thank you.
So I'm kind of looking a little bit more forward to the movie.
Absolutely. And Red Wolf does make a good point here, too. Timothy and Wonka was excellent. Now, I expected Wonka to have some music, though, because the originals have quite a bit of music as well. Even in the Johnny Depp version had its own music. So I expected music in Wonka. I think when I think of the Joker, I don't think of music necessarily. But I think it was Ryan Dean, potentially, in the chat, was mentioning here that, like, if the music is part of the breakdown, it's part of kind of his inner monologue or her inner kind of twistedness, that could be an interesting way to kind of self-express that journey of mental illness as well. So that could be interesting, and I could see that being a great point. So I will be curious to see how this turns out, though. And you guys might have shifted my opinion on it a little bit, because at first I was thinking musical.
Ben.
Yes,
good musical, Ben. You're not rolling your eyes going, "Oh my God, they're singing again."
It carries you through. It carries you through.
Yeah, I went to see Hamilton in. Just on Broadway, like in 2017, and I know nothing about musicals, just Megan's into them. Phenomenal, just phenomenal. Like, just people at the top of their game. Thought it was great. And another one, Beetlejuice, the musical. If you haven't got to see it and you're a Beetlejuice fan,
love it.
Unbelievable.
Now, were you doing a little handy or something like that? Or getting filling up your date, or Oh, that's right. You weren't with Lauren Boebert, so.
What? What are you talking about?
We're off the rails, folks. We're off the rails.
I'm talking about one of our U.S. politicians who's kind of skanky.
I have absolutely no idea what I said links to her. But
I'll tell you after the stream.
Okay. All right. Somebody out there in the chat laughed classy. Somebody knows exactly what you're saying. Love you guys. Let's move on to this. Variety here is reporting Cillian Murphy, or Cillian Murphy, I guess, depending on how he prefers to be called, is definitely... Thank you. Definitely is returning for a Peaky Blinders movie, series creator says. And honestly, I mean, that's exciting, because I know, Shane, you really like the show. You actually were the one that kind of enabled me to check it out, and I ended up really loving it despite my need to have to watch it with subtitles. And then I really enjoyed Oppenheimer, and good on him for getting an Oscar in his hands with regards to that, because I mean, that man was in practically every minute of that 3-hour film, and it was insane. His acting ability was insane. And I've also heard some rumors that he will be still part of the 28 years later film, which is kind of running from the 28 days and 28 months later film franchise. It's so, despite him becoming one of the world's biggest actors now and a household name, he's still going back to some of these things that I would consider for him probably passion projects, things that he enjoyed doing. He knows the fans love it, and he's willing to put himself out there. So I did want to just really celebrate that and say congratulations to him, seeing him with an Oscar in his hand as well. And then this popped up last week, guys. The Batman 2 has been delayed to October 2nd of 2026, which to me was a little on the devastating side because it's already been at least 2 years since the last film came out. Now, we are getting a Penguin TV series coming, and I don't know if you guys have seen it, but the trailer does look kind of cool. So I'm excited. I think Colin Farrell in the Penguin makeup is so unrecognizable and awesome that I'm just excited to see what he does with the show. And that will give us a bit of a stopgap. It sounds like it's being set somewhere between the first film and the second film, which does make sense. But 2026 feels like a really long way away. I mean, and this is talking to Hot Toys collectors, right? I mean, we're used to long waits in the collecting world, but the film world does feel a little bit long for sure. Now, we don't necessarily know who the villain is of the second film yet. Maybe they're changing based on their strategy with the Penguin TV show. Maybe they're waiting to see what James Gunn does with his interpretation of Batman in the new DC universe. There's a couple of maybes in there. I think if they're going to push it, I'm really hoping the story obviously is dialed in. I'm hoping that it's is equally as good, if not better, than the first film, because I did really love the first one quite a bit. It was one of my favorite theater experiences I've ever had. Some of the music with Hans Zimmer there, and the way that it shook the theater with the soundtrack. I mean, beautiful. My hope is like a Victor Fries, for example, as a villain. The reason I say that is because, in my opinion, I think the best villains are ones that you can relate to, right? That you can understand their motivations. And if you've ever seen Heart of Ice and Batman the Animated Series, it's a heartbreaking tale of Victor Fries really kind of becoming an enemy and a villain because he's desperately trying to save his wife, Nora, from death. And can you imagine the struggle somebody like Batman would have in live action if he knows that something like stopping a Victor Fries means also killing the love of his life? And I think that could be a really powerful but based in reality kind of story that we've seen from this Batman franchise so far anyway. So that's my goal.
If they've delayed it until 2026, Robert Pattinson's going to be so old.
Oh my God, he won't be that old. He's still a very young man. But I'll be curious to see if they call, because the first one was kind of a year 2 Batman, right? Will this be a year 5 Batman now? Is he going to be a lot more dialed into the character, or is it still kind of picking up where pretty much the Penguin show leaves off? I'll be curious to see how much of a time jump there is, how much of an evolution there is in his technology and his gadgets and those things. Philly, what are your thoughts on them pushing this film? Is there any villain you're hoping to see from the next film, like me with a Victor Fries? What are your thoughts?
I don't like them pushing it because you kind of lose the magic from the first one. You want that continuation, and if it's going to be that many years, there might, I don't know, who knows, maybe Robin might pop up, something like that. He's already more established, year 5. It kind of takes you out of the first movie. So, and then they're making the Penguin, so it even takes you out of that series there. So I think maybe you're right. They're trying to see what James Gunn's universe is going to pan out and then go with this as their secondary backup. They might even build a universe around this if James Gunn's doesn't work out. But I would love to see Victor Fries and that story, Heart of Ice. That's an amazing story. It's one of my favorites as well. Maybe even do a love story for Bruce Wayne / Batman. Maybe include somebody like Poison Ivy or, someone that, we don't want to redo Batman and Robin because that's basically Batman and Robin, but
sure.
Make it more serious, more impactful, and more story driven. And I kind of wouldn't mind a Robin, so may include that family part as well. So that'd be really cool.
Okay, interesting thoughts. Shane, we are in a group chat in Instagram, literally called the Dark Knight Buddies. we're big Batman guys for sure, and I love talking about Batman. Do you think there is a world in which that two Batmans can exist at the same time and still be successful in live action? If the James Gunn Batman does end up coming out, and it could be obviously vastly different, tonally anyways, from what we're seeing here. What are your thoughts there?
I really, really hope not. Like, you know what? I'll try to be positive on this. I remember when Robert Pattinson was announced as the new Batman for the upcoming Batman movie, and I was driving to work. I think it was 2017. I was driving to work, and I went, "Really?" I mean, we've had the Dark Knight trilogy, which is obviously amazing, and then we had Ben Affleck, and some people liked him and some people didn't, or whatever. And I was like, okay, just let it rest for a decade or two. And then this came out, and I loved it. Like, so maybe this continues to be good, and they expand on that and build on that, and maybe James Gunn hits gold with another Batman. And look, Batman's very popular. Batman's very popular. I was about to say figure characters, so. Like, people just eat that stuff up. Iron Man, Spider-Man, Batman, Vader, Boba Fett. There's reasons why Hot Toys produce all these things, and multiple different reasons, because they are popular and people like them. They're crowd pleasers. So if the movies are done well, people will watch them. But if they're not, people won't. Like, it's kind of that simple, really. Like, but this is the first of many delays and cancellations and stuff you're going to see because of the writer's strike and stuff, I would imagine.
100%. Classy, what are your thoughts, buddy, on Batman being pushed back to 2026? Do you think it does make sense for two potentially live-action Batmans to exist at the same time? Are you with Shane? Does it just really come down to the writing, or do you think that's stretching Batman fans a little bit? What are your thoughts there?
It's my understanding from different posts and things that one of the reasons why they needed to delay it was because the Brave and the Bold was supposed to be coming out, I think, in a time frame that would have been too close to the Batman 2, and James Gunn didn't want those two movies competing with each other. So if that is the case, it kind of makes a little bit more sense. I kind of agree with Philly here a little bit, that it might take you a little bit out of the original The Batman, but I kind of also believe that if people really, really enjoyed The Batman when it comes out, I think that those fans may be reinvigorated. And I think that and knowing that this is more of an Elseworlds type of thing, I don't see the two really combating each other. But I kind of would like to see them separated just a little bit. So I think the time will make it so that you get introduced to that world of that Batman. You get to come back now. You get to be reintroduced to the world of Pattinson's Batman, and since this is supposed to be a trilogy, it will end after that third movie anyhow. So, but then the Brave and the Bold universe will probably continue on for somewhat. So, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it does have its, it does have some issues, because I think that, fans, for the most part, also do have a little bit of a short memory. And, unless they're really, really, really engaged, some of the fire from this first movie might be dwindling off just a little bit.
That makes sense. Well said. Shiny says, we need a dark, edgy version of Deadpool with no jokes. He just complains the whole time about how much pain his skin causes him. And Shane agrees. It says he's never going to heal if he doesn't stop picking it.
That's right.
Totally true.
Hey,
look, we got a dark and edgy version in Wolverine.
We live using lotion. That's the reason our skin is so soft and supple.
Basically, the moral of this
Deadpool,
channel
pay
is...
attention.
Moral of this today's show is don't forget your lotion, folks.
That's right.
And of course, we had an edgy version of Deadpool, and it was in Wolverine Origins. And I hated that version of Deadpool, and so did Ryan Reynolds, let's be honest.
Yeah.
So, guys, let's move on here. We got one more piece of entertainment news, and then I want to talk about figure photography and 6-scale figures themselves. We got 53 people still watching us live. I hope you guys are having just as much fun as I am today and these guys. But if you can like the video, it helps drive some traffic to the show for next week. Guys, Beetlejuice has been teased. And it's funny, they say in YouTube, make sure you stick to your lane, because if you don't, nobody will watch your content. I did a 30-minute video on this the other day, and literally like 26 people watched it. Of everybody that watches my show, nobody watched this video. So stick to your lane. I think I might make it just a members-only video going forward, and anybody who missed it, you can let me know. I'll send it to you guys. But I wanted to give a quick take on it because I loved the original Beetlejuice, and I still do. I watched that movie on repeat. Didn't have to be Halloween. I loved it. And Beetlejuice, I was, again, cautiously optimistic, because there are some great examples of sequel trilogies, or just sequel films in general, and then there are some great examples of sequels that are not so great, and kind of like the kid just smashed the jar in the corner of his mom's living room there. You hate to see it. And so I am weirdly optimistic that this will be good, but at the same time, I'm nervous that they're going to take a film franchise that I love and hurt it. The new Ghostbusters film is out as well right now, and I'm hearing varying reports. Some people are saying it's amazing. Other people are saying, it's too many member berries. It's not as good as you'd want it to be. And of course, the internet is filled with lots of opinions. For me, I loved the Beetlejuice animated series. I loved the original film. And I think having Keaton back, I think having some of the rest of the cast back will be potentially really awesome. And so I'm excited, but I wanted to hear from you guys as well, because the question is, are you excited about Beetlejuice? But also, do you have any favorite sequels or least favorite sequels you've ever seen that really stand out in your mind? And guys, let me know in the chat as well. Favorite sequel or least favorite sequel? These ones, Star Wars shouldn't count because it's already on the screen, but I get it if that's your least favorite. I think right now a great example of a sequel that's doing amazing for me is the new Dune films. I watched the new Dune with my mom.
Listen up, guys.
I watched it last week. She remembers the original film and the books very, very well. So she had a kind of an idea of already what might happen in the second film, which a lot of that did really come to fruition. And it was a really, really enjoyable film experience. So right now, that's a great example for me. Whereas I'm hearing things like Happy Gilmore 2 might be coming, where, I love Happy Gilmore, but I'm like, my God, it could be just awful, depending on how they do it. So, guys, enough of my take. Shane, what are your thoughts on Beetlejuice, if you've seen the teaser? Are you excited about it? And do you have a favorite sequel and a least favorite sequel you could share with us?
Love the first Beetlejuice. I did see the trailer for this. I'm not excited, Ben. I'll go watch it, and if it's good, okay, I'll get excited about it. Mm-hmm. I'll be like, that was amazing, wow. But no, I just think we're in the member berries nostalgia zone era of movies where some movies I know No Way Home nail it, and then other movies like The Flash don't. So what was the question? You asked me for good sequels and bad sequels?
Yeah, do you have a favorite sequel then, and what's your least favorite sequel?
Look, the obvious answer is The Dark Knight, because it was a fantastic sequel. Also Empire Strikes Back. I gotta say Dune 2 it's an absolute banger. There was another movie, Terminator 2, obviously. So in terms of sequels done right, 100%. Bad sequels? Speed 2. There was no reason why the same woman would be trapped on the same Speed. The first Speed movie was a good movie. There is no good reason why Sandra Bullock gets caught in the exact same situation, but it's a boat the second time. Are you having a laugh? That was just ridiculous.
She's the unluckiest woman in the world, believe me.
How can the same crap happen to the same woman, in the same... No, that was just...
Well, then, but just ridiculous. Imagine it. When they do Speed 3, she'll be riding around in a hover round or a rascal or something like that.
Oh, my God.
An Irish comedy TV show called Father Ted, which is about three priests who live on a tiny island off the coast of Ireland, actually did Speed 3, a parody back in the late 90s. It was on a milk float, like a little like a golf cart that delivered milk. It was hilarious. Yeah, it was ridiculous. Then Blair Witch Project 2. Whether you like the first Blair Witch Project or not, it was kind of unique. It was one of those first found footage things, and whether you liked it or not, you either liked it or you didn't. Yeah. And it was like an hour and a half of this. Oh my god, this is actually real footage they found, and everyone knew it really wasn't. But the marketing was great for it. But then the second movie was just absolute trash. So yeah, no, those
are good picks.
They're my takes.
Blair Witch 2 is not. Again, this is the reason I love these questions sometimes, because I'm like, I would have not even thought of Blair Witch 2. Like that's.
I had to have a good thing.
Yeah,
I had to have a good thing.
That's fair. Like, classy.
I was gonna go The Matrix Revolutions, but it's not a sequel. It wasn't the direct sequel, so I said, look, I'll stay within the confines of the questions.
That's fair. And I did like Matrix Reloaded. I know some people don't love that film. I at least as
the second one.
I really loved it. Reloaded.
The second one was not a disaster. Mm-hmm. But the third one needed, I think, a mind-bending revelation to flip the whole story. It had no brain candy at all. Yeah. So I think Reloaded, that the car motorway scene.
Yeah.
That was what, 40 minutes of awesomeness.
It was crazy.
And the twins.
And the music and everything too, yeah. McKinley says The Mummy 3 and Jeepers Creepers 3, yeah. The Mummy 3 I really didn't enjoy either, and I loved the first Mummy film. It's easily one of my favorites. I want a Brendan Fraser figure in my collection, a Rick for sure. Philly, what about you, buddy? Are you excited for Beetlejuice? Did you get the Sideshow figure on order when it popped up there a week or two ago? And what are you thinking in terms of favorite sequel and least favorite sequel, if you could think of one?
I'm tempted on the Sideshow, but with this coming out, I could see Hot Toys doing a older version of this a figure. So I'm gonna probably wait. But I mean, Michael Keaton was currently on a talk show host, and he said it was something special. But then again, he did say The Flash was good too. So
yeah, they're not going to say it's crap.
Worried.
It's almost like he's getting paid to say those things.
Yeah, but he's a serious actor. So, but I mean, I think he's just probably in pay mode, like pay me and I'll do it, and I'll come back. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. Hopefully it's good. And it was let down with The Flash, but it was nice to see him come back as Batman. And apparently that's still another opportunity for him. He might never say never. So the sequels that I really despise and really love, I'm going to go current to date because there's too many to name. One that I really enjoyed that blew me out of the water was Avatar, The Way of Water. That was amazing. Sequel. It was really I was really into the story and the characters, and I was just blown away.
And I wasn't really looking forward to that one, to be honest, and then still ended up really enjoying it. Yeah.
And I can see them doing 2 or 3 more because there's more story to it now. And I didn't have the imagination to think that they can carry it on, but they did.
I think they have 5 movies planned or something like that.
I heard something. They've got a ridiculous amount of movies planned. I heard that too.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. One of the worst. Shane already mentioned it, and it's not kind of a sequel, but I was a huge letdown. Was the Matrix Resurrections? I was so excited for the movie. I was looking forward to it, and it was just a big letdown. And I just kind of gave up on the franchise. I'm a big Matrix fan. I mean, I remember seeing the first Matrix when I was 19 in the theaters with my best buddies, and it was like the best time ever. So, unfortunately, that's still in the water. That won't happen again. And then I think that's it, right? I got everything down.
Great answer, buddy. I totally agree.
Ben.
Yes.
Ben. Top Gun Maverick.
Ooh.
I just saw Jose's post. That is one of the greatest sequels of all time.
Love that film.
So good.
Absolutely. And I was thinking about I've heard that Rogue Squadron might actually be coming. still for Star Wars. They're working on it again. Now, I mean, they could work on that script and it could be terrible and they could trash can it, but if they're working on a Rogue Squadron movie, I hope that it has the same kind of feel as like a Top Gun film, where clearly, like, you know, the cast of characters really jive well together. There's that camaraderie between the pilots and stuff, which really amps up the stakes. And then, you know, it's interesting when you think about Star Wars, you know, they fight in the sand a lot, but there's not a lot of space battles, especially in the original trilogy. So I loved Rogue Squadron, the game, back in the day on the N64 and on the computer. That was one of my favorite video games back then. I would love to see them make that maybe with kind of that, again, Top Gun Maverick style of feel to it. But Classy, last but certainly not least before we get to figure news, are you excited for Beetlejuice? And are you feeling like you've got a sequel that's a favorite for you in mind and a least favorite?
I am optimistic about Beetlejuice. All right, he's not here. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. But I don't know that we necessarily need Beetlejuice. But I think that for me, the thing that makes a sequel is if they take the character and evolve that character. Because the thing that gets me about a lot of sequels, which in my opinion fail, is because they don't show any interest in evolving the story or the characters. They want to recreate what they thought made them so much money. So they take these same characters, they bring them in and say, okay, well, we'll change this situation. Here's our little formula. And then they wonder why it failed. It's like, you didn't take any time to really develop a new story or to tell us something new about these characters. So if they can evolve Beetlejuice somehow, and if they bring, for example, I'll be completely taken out of it if they bring back Lydia, and she's wearing that little black hoop skirt, you know, she's still goth or something like that. No, make it so that there's something different so we can see what happened since the last movie to turn him into this new person. So that's for me is what I feel. Now, as far as my all-time favorite, now I had not thought about at first Top Gun Maverick, but that really was an amazing movie, and Jose, thanks for putting that in there, because I still remember I was in college and I had a friend, I was in school in Virginia, and I had a buddy who worked at Langley Air Force Base, and he took me, and I got a chance to actually see that what was it, the F-15 or something like that. I got a chance to see one up close. I was standing there. I got a chance to actually see it because he was a mechanic and he actually worked on them. And I was like, man, this is amazing. And then my father and I went to see Top Gun. And I don't know that I was expecting...
It was the F-14.
F-14, thank you.
The Tomcats are the ones with the sweep wing.
Okay, yes. That plane is amazing up close and personal. And then my father and I went out to see the movie, and both of us just loved it. So when I heard that they were bringing Maverick in, I was a little iffy, but again, they made that character, they let us know what developed him, turned him into who he is now. And he still had a lot of who he was, but then you got a chance to see a little bit of the depth. But to me, my all-time favorite sequel was Aliens. I love that movie so much. It was so different from Alien, but I mean, you're bringing these Marines in, and I mean, oh man, it was just amazing. So to me, that's my all-time favorite sequel. But yeah, just give me something different. I mean, there's some movies to me that need to be one and done. I don't think you necessarily need to develop it further. But I think a lot of times studios are caught up in, all right, how can we make more money? Okay, let's take this one because it was so popular. We'll just stick it out there. The consumers, they'll take anything. No, we won't. That's
Yeah.
the reason why. That's the reason why the box office. That's the reason why Madam Web sucked so bad, because you didn't give us a good story, and we were not going to buy into that. And so I'm kind of like, give us good content. Write a good story. Don't always feel like you have to go back to the well and bring something in. Write us some new content, some good content. There's a lot of good books out there that are just ripe for being adapted. Give us new material that we know nothing about that's going to surprise us and excite us. You'll be surprised at what the consumers will buy. We'll love it if you give us good stories.
Well said, Classy. Very, very well said.
Testify.
Thank
Everything
ya.
this man just said.
Hallelujah.
He's dead right. No, we won't.
That's right.
Because you know what they're doing? They're going, hey, member berries are working. It worked for the last Ghostbusters. It worked for No Way Home. It didn't work for Flash. But they're going, let's just throw a bunch of old stuff into it and just show them the shiny new thing. Not everything is Luke Skywalker returning at the end of Mandalorian Season 2. Or like Toby and Andrew walking through the portals. But just to tie in what you said, Andrew, yeah, he walked through the portal and everyone went nuts. But he had a role. He got his redemption. He saved MJ. It wasn't his MJ, but he still saved an MJ. So he was there to push the story forward. Toby Maguire was the kind of wise older version who kind of explained how like you can't just let the bitterness get the best of you. That added his story. Also, he touched on how himself and his own his own MJ were kind of like, you know, they made it work, but it's difficult. So yeah, there has to. Flash Tom was 100% right. It has to move the story onward. Story is everything.
Well said, boys. Let's move on because we got lots of 6-scale news still to cover. I want to keep us here for about 45 more minutes on the figure news side of things. We do have a special guest who has arrived. I think he's become the British Batman. I'm not going to lie. We got Pete in the house. Well, not 1/6 scale.
Look at this guy. Look at this guy.
Only Fools in Collecting. OFAC, a division of Collecting Weekly. Good to see you, buddy. With the Batman up a lot behind you there. That looks badass, buddy. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. How's it going?
Good, man. I saw you were having some technical difficulties trying to get.
Yeah. That's just purely by chance that because I'm obviously in a bit of a more relaxed seating position than I would normally be because I'm currently boxing up the whole room to redecorate and new cabinets and everything. So it's a big project. So I don't have my streaming desk or anything at the moment. So I'm just sitting on the couch. And my Lego Batman is up there, and I just thought that's pretty cool. That's like really the scene with Keaton when the bat signal comes up above him when he's sitting in his library or whatever. So sorry for arriving late, but I think from what I can see, I've arrived just in time for figure news.
Just in time, buddy. Just in time. We're happy to have you here. Much better scaling on that Bat vehicle in the back there for Lego than the Jazz Inc. one, at least in terms of wall real estate. So good call. Good call. Guys, let's move into figure news. We got about 60 people watching live. Thank you so much for being here. Please subscribe to my friends below 1/6 Figure Focus, SpongeBob SquareBalls, Figure Craft, and Only Fools in Collecting over Collecting Weekly if you guys have not already done so, especially if you're watching on the replay. These guys help me every week, and I appreciate them, and I would love to see them get their numbers up for sure. We also have Evil Sneaker here in the chat with us. Says, hey, bro, to Jose G. Hernandez. That's fine if you didn't say hello to me specifically. Evil, I get it. It's fine. I won't take it personally. No, I'm just kidding.
Maybe you're too old.
I'm probably too old. Yeah. I'm never going to hear the end of this now.
Yeah, he's not holding the grudge or anything.
I hate to see it. I'm sorry. This is the last show from Classy. He'll be like, I'm too old to come back, aren't I? Bastard. Hate to see it. I love you guys. Let's move on. We got Figure Craft here with us. Now, I don't want to take too much of your time today, Philly, but I did want to highlight your channel here. So if anybody is just kind of getting used to seeing Philly on his own channel, on his own live streams there, the Figure Talk live stream, I caught some of that today when I was at the gym. Really entertaining, very laid back, very chill, which I appreciate, and some great information on the show there. Phil, tell us about what's coming up on your channel, buddy, and then tell us a little bit about this camera video that you're working on. What do you work with in terms of figure photography? Definitely curious there.
So
This is not Philly, by the way, but that's the camera he probably uses.
that's similar lens that I'm using, and I'll bring that lens out here.
Ooh, the suspense.
What I'm trying to
Ooh.
do is I'm trying to kind of find the sort of perfect blend of a lens and camera and getting a good picture. But this right here, if you can see, is the Hidori 28 millimeter probe lens. So it comes in two different setups, but it looks like a barrel pretty much. And I think some of you have seen it because they do use it sometimes to kind of do microscopic, things. But I was curious to try it with action figures, and believe it or not, it's more of a video lens than a photography lens. But I've been testing it, and if you look, I have Instagram. I do have shorts on YouTube. One of the tests I did was with the Terminator Hot Toys DX13, DX10, and I believe it was the endoskeleton from Terminator Genesis. So what I ended up doing is I kind of switch out all figures, kind of from clean version of Arnold to a semi-damage to a more damage, comes into the endoskeleton. And with that, I was using a slider, this lens right here you see, and it gives you a really good wide focus. It's actually the one right there on the left side. If you see it, Ben, the one with Arnold.
One
Short.
second. Oh, I see it here. 1 second. My apologies. Oh, here, this one here.
I'm not sure if Jose beat me to it. I was going to say that I could do one of those lenses for my OnlyFans page. when you said microscopic,
You could. I mean, but as you can see right here, you see it starts off with the regular DX10, and as you're zooming in, it's a really wide zoom, and you get when you see the end result, you're gonna see the details and the endoskeleton to the microscopic view. You can see little scratches and stuff, but there's a semi-damage, and those are the different head sculpts that I have. I'm sure you guys are familiar with the DX. There's the one, the DX13. Got a little After Effects right there, and then you go into the endoskeleton, and just look how much detail it picks up by zooming in with a few millimeters from it.
Pretty crazy. Now, do you have to put this on like a tripod or something like that to like slow it down so you're not having like handshake? How do you do that?
That's the issue. You need to get a really good quality slider that won't let it shake as much, because a minor shake, you can definitely see it into the stuff. So just trying to work on that, kind of getting it balanced. I sort of try to Mickey Mouse it and propped it with some stuff in order to kind of, because it's a barrel, so when it's moving, it'll shake, and then the video will come out kind of shaky, but still trial and error. I suggest that it's more for video than photography. I've tested a few shots with photography. They come out pretty interesting, but the only problem is it's not as sharp as most lenses. So I would
Philly,
recommend
what's the name of that lens again?
It's called the Hidori 28 millimeter f13. If you pull this up on YouTube, there's a lot of test footage on getting like literally microscopic footage of just normal objects. People do like food, products, stuff like that. And I figured I saw this, it'd be a great idea to do with action figures, but still in the process of testing it out. Once I get a review out, I'll either recommend it or not. Right now, it's not looking as good because it's just hard to get that sharpness that you're really looking for pictures.
That's the Jazz
video.
Ink,
Yeah.
Oh man,
that's
the
my
collection was so impressive, man.
It's
Thank
awesome.
you. Thank you.
I just saw you got
That's-
47,000 views on this channel video too. That's insane, buddy. That's an awesome.
Unreal.
That's awesome that you got that
that,
much
That's epic.
That
abstraction.
was amazing. for one of my first videos. I'm overwhelmed by the amazing comments I've gotten, and I'm very thankful for that. So yeah, hopefully I get to do more stuff like that where people can enjoy and feel inspired, because a lot of people here, they like, I want to do that. That's cool.
Yeah, dude.
Like, that's just what I'm here for, to inspire everybody online and get them to say, I like that, I want to do it, I want to try it in my own virgin way and be happy with what they got. So, but anyways, back to this. I'm going to post a review, and I do want to try one shot where maybe I can set a bunch of figures in a row, kind of like the DX13 that you saw, and it'll kind of go right through the middle of each individual figure, so you can see kind of like a cinematic opening when you see Marvel, a movie or something like that. But it would be for Hot Toys. So if that comes out, I'll definitely share it with you and send you a link, and it should be
Please do. How long have you been collecting for now, then?
I've been collecting since 2010 Hot Toys. My first one was a DX02, the Dark Knight classic. But before that, I did have McFarlane toys in the 90s, and been a fan ever since I was little. 89 Batman. 89 Batman is what basically started everything.
That's amazing, dude. And of course, you don't need to tell us what you do as a profession specifically, but is anything in your profession involved camera work or anything like that as well, or?
No, it's been a hobby of mine since God knows when, high school. I've been involved with small projects here and there, but it's just mainly a hobby. Yeah.
Dude, well, your collection is amazing. I'm going to actually pause this video now because I want, if you haven't seen the rest of that collection tour, please go over to Figurecraft after. Let's get the man up to 1,000 subs at the very least, because you know what? That great traction on that first video, but it was also well shot. When I go back and look at some of my first videos, they're horrendous in terms of production quality. So great job there. Make sure you go and check out the rest of that video, guys, because that collection is stellar for sure.
Thank you. And a collection tour is very intimidating. A lot of people kind of like steer away from it, but going through it, I mean, it's definitely worth the price. I mean, you can see it gain a lot of popularity, and I'm very proud of it. But I remember it was like 2 months ago. I was kind of wondering, should I do it or not? Because I've never done one before. In the video indicates for the first time in 14 years, no one's seen my collection. So it's something kind of intimate.
And now
for me,
nearly
but I'm glad to share it.
50,000. Now nearly 50,000 people have seen it. That is crazy, dude.
So I end up, unfortunately, I regret not sharing soon enough, but now I'm kind of glad and happy that I was able to share it because everyone's able to enjoy it. So thank you guys for all the support. I'm beyond ecstatic.
Heck yeah, dude. Heck yeah. Let's guys move on. Thank you so much for sharing all that, Philly. We definitely appreciate you here, buddy. In terms of figure news, Inart Collectibles, let's chat about Batman here really quickly, because we've been receiving your concerns regarding the Batman 2022 1/6 collectible figure, and we sincerely apologize for any inconvenience caused by the delay. We're happy to announce that shipments for Batman 2022 figures will commence this month. Additionally, we're excited to share some updates with you, including the introduction of a new sliding magnetic track base and enhancements to the figure itself. Keep an eye out for updates on Facebook and Instagram. So I'd be curious to hear what you guys have to say, because of course the Hot Toys figure has now been out at least already for about a month. Now I know a lot of collectors are still waiting for their Hot Toys version to come, right? In the mail, a lot of people are still waiting. But with delays still present with Inart and the ability of Inart to actually get these figures in people's hands, even if they start getting this figure out like this month, next month, it's going to be potentially 6 months, 8 months before most collectors actually have it. I'm hoping I get this still before, literally at this point, 2025. I didn't get the Hot Toys one. I pulled the trigger on the Inart one because, at least from prototypes, I thought it was superior looking. But I'm starting to feel kind of that FOMO and a bit of that regret, because at this point I kind of just want the character in my collection and to kind of move on with life and stop thinking about it so much. So I feel like this being not a post that's saying like we're going to get all of these by a certain time is potentially a little detrimental. And it kind of poses that question back again now. Is it the Hot Toys versus Queen Studios? Do you think people are still going to potentially buy both? Or do you think this is actually going to sway people back to Hot Toys to just pick that up and call it a day? Shane, what are your thoughts? And before I get your thoughts, I want to say a quick welcome to Brendan Riley here with us. Says, wait, this isn't you. This isn't where I parked my car. That's awesome. I love Brendan's takes over on 1/6 Scale Man there on comics, and he's got an epic collection himself as well. Glad to see you here, buddy. Thanks for joining in the show today. What are your thoughts, Shane? Hot Toys versus Queen Studios or Inart at this point. Is this going to sway people if there's any more delays on this figure?
First of all, Brendan, if it's not where you parked your car, please don't drink and drive. Pull over and finish it. So this, I've ordered both of these. I'm waiting on the Hot Toys Deluxe and waiting on the single rooted Batman from Inart. Just judging from the 3 figures that Inart have actually delivered, I think the Inart one is probably going to end up better. But we've been waiting for this one for a long time. And I know I would be of the camp of good things are worth waiting for. And I'm a patient man. But patience is a spectrum. And how long do we have to wait before we go, this is ridiculous? So, yeah, and then you had that like big box of pallets that we saw about a month ago. Yeah, which I know could be photoshopped, who knows? Yeah, it's this is really taking its time. So it's the kind of, I suppose the kind of they're giving the kind of Inart haters a stick to beat them with. The slowness of their delivery time, and their lack of global distribution. So, yeah, can you really say Hot Toys versus Queen Studios or Inart now when Hot Toys have actually released theirs? Do you know what I mean? So they have delivered. It's out. It's fine. Yeah. And then when the Inart one comes out, I do think it's going to be better, but depends on what you value, I suppose. Look, I'm going to try and get the both of them in and compare them then, and probably a bit more accurate when I have them right here in front of me. But yeah, that's my take. I think Inart will be better eventually, but my God, they are very, very slow.
Yeah, definitely. And I do remember, or at least when Inart was getting started, which isn't really all that long ago at this point still, seeing them talk about how, delays won't happen. We can pretty much guarantee you we've got our schedule straight, where we recognize that, collectors get really pissed off when we have to, delay things, and we don't want that to happen. So we're going to be very strategic about our rollouts and all of the things. So, collectors don't have to worry about that anymore for these premium items. But Ben, life happens. Worldly events happen.
They said all that stuff in, I believe it was
2021,
March 2022, when they first came on the scene and announced their Rooted in Our Joker 2-pack and their Sculpted 2-pack and their single Sculpted. And they said, we don't want people waiting, blah, blah. But they did have the first kind of influencer batch out later on that year. That's a 9-month turnaround. And then they started rolling them out to the masses about a year after that, because it was like March 2023 or whatever it was. So, they did actually deliver. Because how long did Loki take? How long did Endgame Cap take? I believe some people still haven't got their sideshow from.
But Hot Toys never came out and said. But Hot Toys never came out and said delays aren't going to happen anymore.
Hot Toys don't say shit,
you should
though.
buy from us.
Yeah,
that's true.
They don't say shit, do they? So, so I mean, what do you want from these people? I'm just I'm calling it like I see it here. Like, I mean, they do need to up their game in terms of delivery time and to work out that global distribution. It was so convenient. I know we're going to talk about it later on, Ben. Just being able to go onto Inart's site and go, Modib, click, got my mouse, good luck. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But yeah, so that's
definitely well. And then, like you talked about influencer batch, and I don't want to get too much into that because I don't know what the politics around how influencers get their batch before other collectors and all the things. However, there are people out there who have had the Gandalf now for months from Inart, and there are many, 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 many folks who haven't even got their invoicing for shipping.
And Ben, I have to say,
what's going on with that?
I have to say, me saying influencer batch, that's not throwing shade.
No,
it's just some people get it before we do because they have, 100,000 subs. That's
fair.
life. If I was Inart and I wanted to market this and give it out there, I'd be like, do I want to give it to the
Who
guys
has the
with
biggest
500
pull?
followers or 3,000 or 4? No, I'm going to give it to the person who has 100,000. That's just
Who has
logic
the
and sense.
pull?
And if you're upset with that,
Totally
get
fair.
over yourself.
I can appreciate it. Well said. I'm glad I got the blood bubbling, and Shane, you love to see it, the Irish blood. Let's stick with Pete on the next one, because we haven't seen yet. I don't want Pete to fall asleep on his comfy couch over there. It looks so comfy. Pete, what do you think about Inart having a little bit more of a delay? They're saying that the figure is coming. We've heard you. But yeah, a lot of collectors already have the Hot Toys one in hand, or at least on the way. Do you think this is going to diminish people's excitement waiting for the Inart, or do you think waiting for the quality is worth it if it actually ends up being much better, or even just marginally better than the Hot Toys version? What are your thoughts?
Yeah. If I speak from personal experience, I had the Gandalf from Inart on order, and when when I pre-ordered it, I was a little bit. I pre-ordered it when Aragorn was announced. So I had to have Aragorn, and I pre-ordered Gandalf. So I knew I was going to be a bit further down the road in terms of pre-order, and I think I was a little bit skeptical about the sculpt at the time. But as people started to get theirs, I think it was like August last year. I was very impressed with the head sculpt, and I was like, yeah, this is amazing. Voted for it in the CW Figure of the Year, everything. But as time went on, I kind of, my excitement for it diminished. I'd seen so many unboxing videos, people waxing lyrical, and I was like, yeah, brilliant. It's great. But then I received it, I think it was in February sometime, and I just didn't open it. I just didn't have. I don't know whether I was like, I want to set aside a whole evening to open it and enjoy it and everything. I wasn't going to film it or anything. I just kept putting it off. There was something that I was, just didn't want to open it. And then, call me what you will. I don't think I'm a scalper. You were talking about it on CW last week, that obviously the prices of this guy went through the roof because people either missed out on the purchase pre-order, or they were waiting for theirs, and hadn't had their invoice and everything. So the kind of the stars aligned, if you like, and I decided that actually I'd move it on, because I've got the Asmus with the upgraded head sculpt, which is the Gandalf the white one, and actually I've had that in my collection for Pete doesn't hold people for about 6 months, and I've actually really appreciate the sculpt on that. I'm not saying it's better by any means, but it's decent, and for my display with the whole fellowship, it was good enough. So I was able to sell my Gandalf and get myself a Back to the Future 2 DeLorean.
Pay off his mortgage.
Yeah. So thank you, Inart. And I didn't do it on purpose, and I'm not pre-ordering every Inart figure now to just sell on. But
because there's no guarantee that's going to happen either, right?
No, exactly.
Yeah.
So absolutely 100%. That delay, that wait, very much diminished my anticipation and excitement for that figure. With this one as well, I think I don't have this. I haven't got this in order. I enjoyed the movie, but wasn't blown away by it. Wasn't blown away by the suit. I think if it was me, not being a die-hard fan, I just wanted another Batman, I'd be 100% happy with the Hot Toys, because for me, there's not, as Shane said, until you've got them both in hand, you can't really tell what the differences are. But from what I can see here, I would be happy with the Hot Toys. But then I'm not, as I say, I'm not a die-hard fan of this movie enough to worry about the difference. And I think the price difference, and obviously the fact that you can go and get it now, and there's a lot of people selling them, and they're for good prices as well. I would go Hot Toys, and I think Inart, they'll always sell. They'll always, people. There'll always be people out there that will wait for the quality. But I think there is, I think that the golden halo is a little bit tarnished for me now.
Absolutely. I think that all makes a great sense. And I think, what you were saying about, the cost at which you sold Gandalf for, that makes sense too. Like you said, you weren't out there buying 3 of them to
No.
rock 1 and sell 2. And
I
all
bet
of
you
that.
wish
Like,
you did, though.
Well,
No, yeah.
who doesn't? But when the market cost demands the price, I think that you put it out there for what the market's demanding it.
Yeah, and I've kicked myself that I hadn't pre-ordered the DeLorean because I was put off by all the problems with the wheels and stuff like that. And I have been looking on eBay and stuff, and I didn't want to pay those prices. And then luckily one came up on the groups, brand new, 700, done.
There you go. No brainer. It's a great car, dude. I love mine. I've had no problem with the wheels. So.
Yeah, brilliant.
Awesome. Great thoughts there, guys. I'm going to skip you, Philly and Classy, on this one because I do want to get Philly's take next here on this particular figure. Dune from Inart. Paul Atreides is here. And, of course, Dune 2 is now becoming one of the most popular films I've heard of in recent years anyways. One of the best critic scores, one of the best audience scores out there. I did get a chance to see this in theaters with my mom again, like I said, about a week ago. Really enjoyable experience seeing it with her. We had a great time, and honestly, I really did enjoy the movie. Now, I've only seen it once. To me, I still feel like I need to see it at least a second time to make sure that I didn't miss anything. Not that it was a super complex story, but there's a lot going on, so I do want to make sure that I caught everything. I think for me it did feel a little bit overhyped because you're hearing everybody talk about a masterpiece and it being better than The Dark Knight and like on and on and on and on and on and on and on. And it was like, okay, like I'll go see it then. You know what I mean? But as I said, I did also still really enjoy it, and I do want to at least support it for a second viewing in theater before it comes out. Now, as Shane
why would you compare it to The Dark Knight? I was going to say that's one of the worst sequels ever made.
Jesus Christ. Okay, you're out of here. Get out of here. You don't deserve a bat logo above your head. You hate to see it.
Joking.
I know. I love the film. This figure is, of course, coming from the Dune 1 version. Now, Dune 1 and Dune 2, they run into each other. They're basically like one long movie anyways. It just would be a 6-hour movie if they put them at the same time. Obviously, Paul has blue eyes, crystally blue eyes in the second film. Didn't in the first film. He wasn't exposed to the spice yet, so that makes sense. I think this figure itself looks beautiful. One of the things that I was most excited about, and actually Shane hit on it earlier as he reads his Dune book, you'll have to see it. Definitely a classic teacher at hand.
He's not reading it. He can't read.
He can't read.
How'd you know when someone's read the book? Don't worry, they'll fucking tell you.
He's preparing his report. Don't you worry about it. One of the things that Shane mentioned that I think is great is that this has worldwide distribution for this figure. So you can actually go to the Inart website and buy it from them directly, which was really cool. And if you did, you get the perk of, I want to call it the mouse, like the little sand mouse. Like there's a specific name for it. I don't remember what it is. Specifically. Modib. Thank you. It's literally on the tip of my tongue. And that's, of course, no, I don't want to say it. Spoilers. I won't say it because of spoilers, but it does have some significance in the second film at the very least. And so I can understand why collectors would want that piece. However, I've got my Inart figures from 1/6 Kit in the past. I've had great experiences with him, so I'm probably going to stick my order with Kit anyways. I don't feel like I need the mouse. I don't think it's that necessarily. Watch me be totally wrong and it'd have like the craziest resale value ever, like the Churro Spider-Man all that long ago. But still, it's not one that I think I need to have. So I'm going to wait. I'm going to do it through 1/6 Kit because that's where I felt like the pricing was best for me here in Canada at the very least. But my question for you, Phil, is do you feel like now that we're a couple weeks past Dune 2, do you think that the hype for this figure is going to die down a little bit? Do you think it's actually ramping up? Because when this was initially announced or previewed, I want to say it was about a year ago, maybe 6 months to a year, everybody was talking about the Batman. Everybody was talking about the Joaquin Phoenix Joker. Not many people really seem to care much for Paul Atreides, but then Dune 2 came and it's been awesome. So what do you think? Hype is there. Is it real? Is it amping up? Is it ramping down? And did you pick up this figure and where from, if you don't mind sharing?
Well, I haven't seen the movie yet, unfortunately. I do have 2 little kids, and I'm trying to get my butt in the movie theater, but it's a little tough. Also trying to convince my wife. So, but I did get the figure. I think, dare I say, it's dreamy. I mean, it's a beautiful figure. You have rooted hair. You have an amazing tailoring suit, and I think, and I got the damn mouse. I end up getting the mouse, so I'm excited about it. But a lot of figures that kind of get announced and go on pre-order from Inart, because the one thing that people are always talking about Inart is their delays. They're not. I mean, do you see people still talking about Lord of the Rings? What's his name?
Gandalf.
Mm-hmm.
No, the other one, the main.
Oh,
guy.
Aragorn.
Aragorn.
Yeah, Aragon. They haven't been talking about Aragon for a while, and that was a beautiful piece too. But the kind of the hype went away, and until the hype will be back when the figure gets released. But I think it's a beautiful figure. I pre-ordered it. I can't wait to see the movie. The movie looks amazing. I saw the first one. I loved it, but I want to steer away from watching it from home because it's a different experience. When you go see it in the theater, it's meant to be seen in the theater. So I have to get my butt to the theater. Just gotta convince my wife to go with me and go watch it. But looking forward to it. I definitely ordered it, and I went through directly.
You went directly, so you're getting that mouse accessory. Yeah, the Moody. Interesting. Well said there, good sir. Let's highlight this super chat here. $10.
Listen, that guy.
There you go. Thank you. I always want to call it dollars, but sending some support over to the Ben Thomas Show. Thank you, good sir. I definitely appreciate you and you being here as well. This is for you, Shane.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate you. Let's see. Shane, let's stick with you actually on this because you were just reading the book, so I'm sure you're very well versed on the films and everything now. You sound like you went through Inart. You sound like that was actually a big perk for you. Was that because you were getting the mouse as well, or was it just because you wanted to get it directly and not have to wait through third-party resellers? Did you have any thinking on that at all? And yeah, what was your final thoughts on the film? Because I think you told me you saw it 3 times, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I'll address the figure question first. This was never on my radar, but obviously, you know, we're friends, and if you've been following the channel, or anyone who's watching is a subscriber and following the channel, you know that my collecting is rooted in my love of film. I'm really trying really hard to pronounce film right because I get called out for not pronouncing it right. This was never something that was on my radar, but I did think it was pretty epic looking from their various different photos and videos we've seen through their different events. The reason I went through, well, the reason I bought it is on the strength of Dune 2. The reason I went through Inart, I could have got this cheaper from Lion Rock, no doubt. I currently have the Inart rooted, the Joker 4-pack, the Joaquin Phoenix 4-pack on pre-order from Inart, from Lion Rock Toys, and also the Cavill Superman from BVS, the Inart one, and the rooted single Batman, all from Lion Rock Toys. All the prices they're quoting me is free worldwide shipping, and I won't get caught for customs. That is massive. I purposely bought this figure directly from Queen Studios to see what the process is like. I will probably get caught for customs, and the shipping will not be free. It will cost me more. I'm taking a hit on that. I want to see what it's like going through the process, what the aftercare was like. If I need it, hopefully, touch wood, I won't need it. I also want to see is when it released, does it ship that day? Because it's like international global shipping now. Shouldn't we all be treated the same? It's like released on Monday, ships on Monday. We shall see, because that's something I'm very curious about, because they're going to land themselves in a world of pain with a lot of collectors if when it releases in like little dribs and stuff like that the same, because what's the point in going through them otherwise, you know what I mean? So I'm very curious to see. So that's the figure aside. The movie, look, the first movie, I watched it. As much as the cinematography was stunning, the special effects were stunning, the Hans Zimmer soundtrack, the sound engineering, the acting, everything, it all felt very, very authentic. It actually looked very real for something that was set in space. But I still felt it was a 3-star movie, and I haven't really budged on that. I have to say though, after seeing the second one and going back and watching numerous breakdowns online and rewatching the first one 2 or 3 times, I'm getting more out of it every time I watch it. When I came out of the cinema for Dune 2, I thought, okay, it's somewhere between a 4 and a 5-star movie. It could be 4-star, it could be 4.5, it could be 5. But what was off-putting, kind of like you touched on earlier on, I see people posting, not just people even, like actually like, Instagrams and websites posting, Dune 2 has the highest IMDb rating of all time, as if this is the greatest movie of all time. But that is smaller sample size, recency bias, and the overwhelming majority of that people who are voting probably absolutely loved it. So you cannot really judge it on that until it stood the test of time. However, as soon as I walked out of the movie, I couldn't stop thinking about it, Ben. And I went back and saw it in IMAX a second time. And then I bought the book and started reading. And I went back and watched it in IMAX a third time. I do think this movie will stand the test of time and will go down as one of the greatest science fiction movies ever made. If they nail Messiah, it could go down as one of the best trilogies ever made, and definitely one of the best science fiction trilogies ever made. The word masterpiece is thrown around a lot. At the first I was like, nah, it's not a masterpiece. But the more I see it, I'm kind of going, okay, it could be. I'm not quite there yet. It's a bloody good movie. It's something special. I'm not sure if I'm ready to put the masterpiece label on it just yet, but I think, Philly, you like the first one. I think you're going to love the second one.
100%. 100%. Mr. Classy Thomas, have you seen this film yet, buddy? And the second film, I should say. And either way, even if you haven't, were you interested in getting the Inart figure when it was initially previewed? Versus now, are you even more excited potentially with the figure previews here that we're seeing?
All right. To answer your second question, I have not ordered it yet, but I am planning to order it. I'm probably going to get mine from Kit, but I got to work out. I got to get in contact with them because I'm trying to use some points and a rebate that a refund that I got back, and for some reason it's not going through. So I need to get with them to figure out how to make it work. But yeah, I haven't seen either movie yet. I know that the first part of it was, from what I understand, was kind of slow, and I get that because I remember the '80s movie was slow. Now, it's not saying it wasn't good. It just means it was just slow. And with my ADHD, I have a hard time staying focused. So I'm trying to get myself geared up for it because I don't want to see number 2 yet because I understand it's very fast paced. And I want to see it, but I feel like I need to see the slower part to get the background information before I go into 2. So I need to make sure that it's a day where I got a good night's sleep so I don't fall asleep on it, because I don't want to have to keep rewinding it and watching it over again. But like I said, I'm going to trust the community based on the reviews I've seen and everything like that. I do expect it to be a good movie. Mm-hmm. And the cinematography, of course, from the different trailers and things that I've seen, I know it's going to be a visually beautiful movie. And since I actually kind of have my theater downstairs in my basement has a very, very large screen. I've got the surround sound. So I'm hoping that it will still kind of have a nice portion of the cinematic experience. So I'm kind of excited to see that, and then I will be very, very happy to see number 2, because like I said, if it's action packed, I'm all about the action. So get me in the mix, brother.
It is, but I still think, and without giving you any spoilers since you haven't seen it yet, buddy, like I do feel like intermissions could still be a thing in films. Like I know that
Yes.
would delay how many showings of a film they could give.
No,
But like I don't know. I kind of like the idea of a pee break. I hate in a 3-hour movie having to run to the bathroom and kill 7 minutes. You know what I mean? And like, because you don't know if it's the first time you've seen it. You have no idea if you're gonna skip a good part or not.
I've discovered the trick, Ben. I have old man bladder.
Oh my god.
God, no.
Diapers.
What do you mean, a catheter?
You go for a run before the cinema, and you go in dehydrated, and you get your big Coke, and you can drink as much as you like. Then you don't need a pee break. That's what I've
If
done.
anybody's seen how fit Shane is in comparison to me, maybe
extreme, yeah.
maybe he'll go for a run before a movie. But I'm like gearing up with some green and some snacks, and I'm not running
Jim.
freaking anywhere.
So,
Or just dehydrate yourself a few hours.
That's fair. Fair.
So-
Pete, what are your thoughts here, buddy?
right, I do have stuff to say, and you probably wish that you hadn't come to me. But so
No, it's
first of all, I'd like to point out that they've spelt cunt wrong. I can live with the backwards C at the start, but that one at the
my
end
God.
definitely doesn't look like a T.
And demonetized.
Sorry, man.
No, it's not within the first 5 minutes. You're grand.
Oh, cool.
We're good then.
Right. Okay. So, I feel like sometimes I'm the voice of reason on these shows because I'm very upset that you guys have all jumped on the hype train. Now, I'm joking. I know that if you've ordered it,
Screw you, scalper.
if you enjoyed the source material, enjoyed the movie, enjoy the figure. I didn't like the first movie. And that's fine, and it's not a criticism at all. It just wasn't for me. I wasn't really a big fan of the 80s movie. I know that people will say it's not very sort of accurate to the books, but I think it's just not a story for me. It's not of interest to me. And it is funny how I see like literally every collector that I kind of know in this community or kind of interact with has gone, yeah, we've got to have this, I've got to have this. And again, it's going to be Inart's usual quality, but I think that I've been surprised actually at how like popular it has been. I know a lot of people saying that for them the second movie is amazing and they want to kind of capture it with this, but I'm still quite surprised. But then again, I'm not a big fan of the Ledger Joker. Not that it wasn't great, but I don't, so and I don't get John Wick and stuff like that. All the things that you guys will think are like the nuts, but I think it's good to have an alternate kind of view on it. So I just I'm a lot more excited about seeing Ghostbusters Frozen Empire than I'm about seeing Dune 2.
There you go. Are you still going to give it a chance though, Pete? Like, are you going to wait till it comes to?
No, I'll wait
Stream
till
it?
I'll wait till I can stream it because I've got a projector, so I can sort of enjoy it sort of on the big screen. But yeah, I did start watching the first one again, and I don't know, just didn't
Doesn't grab you.
click with me.
Pete,
No,
I was right where you were at, right where you're at, and I watched the first one once and never was like, nah, it's grand. It's and I recognized all the strengths because I Denis Villeneuve, like I loved Blade Runner 2049, Prisoner's Arrival, a lot of his stuff. I know he's good at the cinematography and all of it, whatever. But I was right where you were at, and I saw the second one going, okay, that there was the payoff. And then when I watched the breakdowns and learned, okay, that's why that happened, and that's he really doesn't spoon feed you anything in that first one. But when you go back and you watch it the second time after seeing the second one, you're like, that makes so much sense now. It's just like these little light bulb moments, and I found I got so much more out of it with the repeat viewings. But yeah, I get I get where you're coming from.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. I will watch it when it's available streaming, and I'll come back to you on that and sort of say whether or not I felt, that it had that same sort of effect on me. But I suppose to then just jump back to the figure, do you guys obviously? Do you think that whether Inart will go any further into this line? Is there any other characters that you think that there's a chance they might make? And if not, are you happy to see Inart as that make where you just have that one standout figure that just to you represents that entire movie?
I don't necessarily think they're going to make other Dune figures, despite the fact that this was such a huge moneymaker already, and so popular. because I think they would have had to announce it by now. I think they would have had to preview it. I think they would have had to tease it. And that hasn't happened. Now,
No, I don't see it either. But
there are some third-party companies out there making some of the other characters. The general, I forget his name, is done by Josh Brolin. What's his name?
Gurney Halleck.
Gurney, thank you.
Where's my retainer?
That I thought, yeah, right. I thought that looks okay. I do think his dad as well. Again, it's on the tip of my tongue, but it's played by Oscar Isaac. I thought that figure actually looked really good by the third-party company. Yes, thank you, Lido. But I would be worried that they won't stand up necessarily in quality beside the Inart one. I think that the Inart will look far
that's
superior.
Be difficult to match,
which I think would drive me a little nuts. In fact, I'm actually a little bit worried about that even with the Mars Toys Riddler that I'm hoping I get eventually to go with my Batman and Robin from Hot Toys. Like the Hot Toys to Mars, I'm not sure. I know that there's some great Mars toys out there, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But still just having that divergence in quality between companies, I'm worried there'll be too stark of a difference. So I think this is going to be the one we get.
Yeah, because I mean the only line that we definitely going to have two of out of at the moment is Lord of the Rings with
The Dark
obviously
Knight. They're doing the Bale.
We haven't seen that yet. I'm just
True.
but it will be eventually. And obviously they've teased the Ron and Hermione from so no doubt that we'll get those from from Harry Potter. But yeah, it's and it's just an interesting one. I think that absolutely they're good enough that really, unless you're getting another Inart figure to go next to it, I think, like you said, Ben, it's got to be on its own because nothing else will stand up to it.
The one thing that I would really hope Inart would consider, I just don't know if they ever will, would be like an accessories pack that gives them the ability to change the cloak, because the cloak in the second film is different. It's like a lighter color, a little bit more dirtied up for sure. So maybe a little bit of an outfit change and a head sculpt with the blue eyes. If they literally just gave us that accessory pack, I don't think they would even need to come out with a whole second figure, and I think people would be like over the moon with the ability to change or shift between those two looks. But I don't know if Inart will ever do an accessories pack like that. It's hard to say.
They did that stand for Gandalf, so there is, that I could see it. They could be the only company that will venture into that because none of others have. Well, Hot Toys have done it with Iron Man, but
true.
Or what they could do is, if they make the second figure for those who did not get the first figure, make the second figure, but offer the head and cloak and stuff like that as an accessory pack for those who have the first version, and then that way you're it gives them a chance to kind of dip into their own well and make a little extra change on the side, because some people are going to say, oh, I missed out on the first one, but now I get the second one, and those who already have the first one get a chance to kind of upgrade and or change the look of their first figure.
Agreed.
I don't think they're an accessory pack type of
Probably
company,
not, but...
though. And I think of it. Imagine you owned Inart, and a few years' time you actually make a Paul Atreides from Dune 2 or from Messiah, if it goes well or whatever, several years down the line. You don't want to kind of give collectors an out to just upgrade their figure. You want to sell the new figure. No one wants to hear that.
Greedy bugger, you greedy.
No one wants to hear that, but that is the way it is. They're as much as they're passionate about what they do, they want to make money. So that's the sad fact. But there was a post though. They did say we've heard your feedback. Maybe they do. Didn't they? Haven't they upgraded? Haven't they put up posts about figures where they've upgraded them? Didn't the latest post on the Batman say that they have a magnetic base now that's you can slide the magnet on or something like that?
That's it.
Yeah,
Well, and Gandalf ended up with the extra staff after some of the efforts from the Collecting Weekly.
And the fireworks.
Yeah, because the eyes, they couldn't do the magnetic eyes. The magnetic eyes like the J&D were doing or something like that. So.
And Shane, I'm actually going back to some of the other companies, for example, like Robert Tom, or better, more global example, Barbie. You have your figure, but then they give you all these different accessory packs so you can actually customize your look.
Just like Action
But
Man in the 80s.
doing a high, this is a high end figure, having high end accessories, which also would is something where, in terms of their ability to produce, would be it would give them that additional revenue stream where all right, so for example, let's see, the figure I think for polished trays is what, about maybe 400 or so, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Yeah, in that neighborhood.
Yeah, I think it's just
All right.
shy of 400.
All right, so about 400. You get an accessory pack with the head, cloak, maybe some of the other different pieces. They could charge a good $150, $200 for that and be making bank, and still be able to sell their second figures for some of the new collectors and people who missed out on the first one. So I mean, I don't think it's really would be a losing proposition for them. But unfortunately, I think that some of these action figure companies are a little short-sighted and don't realize that, hey, you can be making money off of both ends. You don't have to restrict yourself to just, I'm going to make a figure and here it is and here are the accessories. And then also, not only that, make your accessory pack an exclusive. You offer different pieces that's not available with the figure, and then everybody's going to want the accessory pack also. So
You're right.
there's different
it's
ways.
a great idea. It's a great idea, and it makes perfect sense. I just can't see them doing it.
Yeah, they won't.
But if I can't see them doing it. But like everything you're saying, it makes perfect sense. And
Well, 'cause
if they did that, I would buy it.
Yeah. Well, because for years I've always wanted Hot Toys to have some kind of accessories mall available through Sideshow or whatever, where just like Monkey
They did the
Depot, or
Grogu
just like some of those
Yeah.
other places that kind of break it down a little bit. You could go in and actually buy 6-scale accessories specifically.
Yeah.
I think that there's a bit of a missed opportunity there. Think of all the Etsy sellers, for example, that come up with their own kind of 6-scale like couches and
Yeah.
random shit. Like,
Yeah.
there's so much cool stuff you can buy.
You just get some random stuff like that.
Yeah.
That essentially that accessory pack that Hot Toys included with the deluxe version of IG 12.
Yeah.
But they won't offer that separately, so the price of some of those bits is going to be quite hefty
Going
on the
crazy.
aftermarket, I think.
Mouse droid and stuff like that.
Yeah, and yeah.
Well, and accessories can really make or break figures, right? I mean, like, not that it breaks my figure, but like I realized recently that I had about 50 different guns in 6-scale available to me, and swords and a whole bunch of stuff. So I ended up buying gun racks at the suggestion of Bob Dylan and put that behind my Punisher figure, and wow, has that brought that Punisher figure to life. He looks like he's literally loading up for a war, and it's so cool. So we're getting a little off track, but great thoughts on that, guys, for sure. What were you
Sorry,
going to say,
Ben, really quick.
Yeah,
Another
no worries.
point is you also have third-party companies taking advantage of that. Like, you know,
of course.
So doing the, what's it called? The Peacemaker head sculpt
The
and
head sculpt.
weapons.
Yeah.
That's a good point too. They can easily do that for that.
Yeah, why leave money on the table, I think, is the question,
Yeah.
right? I understand a certain amount of greed that they don't, if we can sell another figure instead of just a head sculpt, why wouldn't we do that? I get that point, but I also do think, like you said, Figurecraft, that they're leaving money on the table and leaving it to the other companies. And of course, fact checker over here, my friend Jose G. Hernandez, did remind me that Og Toys is not third party. Hashtag fact check. Thank you for that. I don't know why I always think Og Toys is third party, but that's the way she goes. Just like I think Star Race, the boys figures are third party because there's
Were
such
you saying that
shitty
Og Toys
quality.
reminds you of Star Race?
No. I actually think Og Toys so far is much better, to be clear. But yes, they remind me of third-party companies. I don't know why I think that. Maybe I just lower in quality in my brain. I don't know. It's weird. Guys, we got 2 more figures to talk about. I don't want to take too much more of the day from you, everybody. We've got the Hono Toys X-Men Magneto now up. And these figures are coming in at really, really good pricing. I think the question, and I think Dean over at Collecting Weekly recently posed it well, is, why are these so cheap? We haven't had a chance to actually see one in hand yet, so we don't really know what the finished quality is going to be. For me, I think what it boils down to is margins. I think 6 scale figures just in general are significantly cheaper to produce than what they actually sell them for. And I think that threshold of margin is so vast that they can put their money into a company like Hono that if it fails, while it's still associated with Hot Toys, it's not necessarily going to kill Hot Toys if the Hono brand doesn't work out. But that also means that they can sell them at a margin to get people started on the Hot Toys drug, or the 6 scale drug. Because let's be honest, right? We've all had that first figure in our collection, and once you get the first, it's like Lay's chips. You can't just have one. You immediately start thinking, what could I pair this with? How could I display this, right? And after 2 figures, it's the slippery slope downhill from that point. So this is the entry drug pricing anyways. And I think that margin is so vastly overblown for most 6 scale figures versus what they actually cost. Now, does that work well for collectors? I think yeah, because right now with X-Men 97, the popularity of that show kind of coming back for younger audiences as well as the old school guys like ourselves who remember it, watching it 30 years ago on the tube TVs, these figures are pretty awesome. Now, when we look at Magneto, though, we've seen a Magneto from Sideshow. We've seen the Magneto available from Present Toys. Some of those figures have things like unmasked head sculpts, different expressions, different accessories. And so, while this pricing is pretty attractive, I don't even know if I think that this is actually the best Magneto so far. And I'd be curious really quickly, just kind of round table, did any of you guys invest in this one or the Wolverine that recently came out? Because I'll be honest, the Wolverine, I did pull the trigger day one because I thought it looked great and I thought the price was right. But as I started to review my pre-orders over the last month, unfortunately it fell off my list. I actually killed the pre-order on it because I want the Wolverine from Deadpool 3. I'm confident in my hopes that Hugh Jackman is going to show up in the yellow suit in figure format. I think that'll be my yellow suited Wolverine. I don't know if I need this line. So, and I forgot, Mondo Toys also has an animated line, which is also an amazing lineup of figures. Joints, for sure, but still. So, guys, this or that being all of the other options, Pete, what did you select, if any, on Magneto here? Is this an attractive brand for you and pricing, or is this still one you can skip based on the character or any of those things?
Definitely can skip them. I'm not into kind of X-Men necessarily, collecting figures wise. I enjoy the X-Men. I think they look cool. I think to more what I was wanting to talk about was the pricing. We know that obviously, you've only got to listen to Big Brader Joao on any of his streams, and you hear what the prices of Hot Toys actually are if you go into a store and buy it in China or Hong Kong. We are paying twice what they pay out there, and that is either a combination of we're buying it from a reseller, which often means that they're actually paying individual people to go and queue up at a secret base, up all those flights of stairs to get their pre-order in for day one, or Sideshow, or the Sideshow tax as they call it. So the margins are obviously good enough that they can sell those figures for half the price in China and still be a very lucrative company. And then us mugs across the other end side of the planet, who we're now justifying £300, £350 for a fairly box standard figure. So it is very, it takes you away from the fact that actually there's there's definitely margin in them selling these for £150, and I'd be interested to know whether or not that is the price that everybody will pay. So if you buy this in China, you kind of pay the same amount as you do if you're buying it in the UK or Canada or the US or Ireland, just to cover all the bases there. Or are they, or in China, is it going to be £80? So is it still going to be that kind of difference? So I think it is great news, and I think certainly if you're looking to start a collection, then this is a good place to start, because you're going to get, you're paying prices that I was paying for Hot Toys 10, 11 years ago. And I think they look really great for what they are. I know Classy probably sort of has probably the most to say out of any of us because he loves his X-Men, he loves the cartoons, stuff like that. I think just on a cursory level, I think they both look really good, and I think they'll be good figures. I hope that the quality comes out. The high quality banner. As I said before, a friend of mine had a coat in school that had quite high quality on it, and it was anything but. But hopefully these will live up to the hype.
Absolutely, buddy. Well said. I totally agree with that. The pricing is the big thing for me because I agree with you. Hearing what Brett talks about banging over there, just kind of in person, and then like really seeing kind of the swing on these, and they clearly are still profitable enough to make them and produce them. Obviously, this doesn't have likeness rights in the same way as some figures would as well, so that changes some things for sure. But we got D'Lo the Collector here in the chat with us. He says, "Let's get nuts. Would you look at this panel? Fire." If you haven't already, please go subscribe to D'Lo after the show here as well. He appears over on Wolfpack Wednesday with Jedi Knights Watch, and I really, really enjoy his take over there. And he's got a fire collection. He put some effort into a collection video recently, and dude, that was an amazing video. So good job there. Definitely support my buddy over there as well as all the guys on Wolfpack Wednesday. Let's be honest, they're all lovely dudes. And then we got How You Figure here as well with us, and says hello to Figurecraft there as well. Guys, we got one more figure to talk about before wrap today, and it is, of course, this ARC Trooper from Star Wars. I want to call it the CW Trooper because it's definitely CW colors. In fact, I think actually Shane dressed to match this figure today, so I'm impressed.
Looks like him.
I'm impressed.
Great effort.
I'm limited to one.
I think this figure is awesome. It definitely is. I think my biggest pain point here, really honestly, was the limited run. I think it was saying 1,500 figures was kind of the announced number. I think if you're going to have a collection, or I should say a collectible, at 1,500 units, what the hell? Peanuts, Max Nuts, love to see it. If you're going to have a collection, a collectible, at 1,500 units, something such a small number like that, I do think that they should be numbered going forward. I think that would add value to the figure. I don't think that's enough units that kind of... it would be difficult for them to do. It might be a bit of a pain in the ass, but I do think that it would really, truly add the value. Because with my tinfoil hat on, sometimes I don't really believe that these numbers actually truly exist. And that more than 1,500 people are still going to get this figure. It just drives some of that hype. When I was in the queue for this figure the other day, because I was trying to help one of the Collecting Weekly people out to try and get this figure, it wasn't one that I wanted to get, but I was willing to put myself in the queue to try and help others. I was like 4,000, like number 4,000. And I was like, really? Is there actually that many people wanting this? Or is it, again, people that are just trying to get it so they can, sell it for more later? Like, I don't really know. From the game itself, this was a really cool figure, I should say costume design to play with. But even still, I could say that about most of the character designs in Star Wars. It's not necessarily one I felt like I needed to collect, as cool as it is. Now, if you're a trooper collector, though, this, I think, will stand out on the shelf like crazy. I mean, clearly Shane is the best-looking person on this panel today because of his color choices. So, I think it would stand out on the shelf like crazy. And to me, it's weird because it's not in the same universe by any stretch. This does give me kind of Punisher vibes with kind of the skull pattern on the mask. I think that's really, really cool. If you modded it like Philly over at Figurecraft could do, you could actually make this look kind of like a Punisher version of an ARC Trooper potentially. So I think it's cool. I didn't get one. I was way out to lunch with my 4,000 number. Missed it entirely. Sorry to the person that I couldn't get it for. You hate to see it. Pete, you're a big Star Wars guy. Is this one that's that you attempted to get to your collection? And what are your thoughts on limited numbers at this point for figures?
It was that Sideshow you were in the queue?
Sideshow,
yeah. So it's interesting to obviously if it is a genuine 1,500, how many of them are Sideshow getting, and obviously how far out, if they're getting 500 or 1,000, and obviously you didn't get one, so that kind of proves the concept unless they got 500, and I don't know. It's difficult to know, isn't it? But no, I don't. Is this from the Jedi?
Battlefront.
Oh, Battlefront, is it? Oh, I'm playing Battlefront 2 at the moment with my son, so maybe this guy will appear at some point. I like it, but only really because I see it as a CW trooper. The classic black and yellow. I think if you're a fan or affiliated with the show, it'd be great to have that, and to even stick like a CW logo or something on him somewhere on his pauldron. So I think it's cool. Limited numbers, not a fan really. I think that, again, to me, it's one of the things that annoys me about statue collectors. I find they can be very elitist. And obviously you're talking about big money, and part of the reason behind that is that they are so limited. And if you've got number 1, it's going to be worth more than number 500. It's just the way it goes, and I don't necessarily agree with it. I don't mind them saying there are only 1,500, but I'm not really interested in the whole numbered thing, because I think it just becomes a bit snooty, but up your own arse, kind of like, oh, I've got this. I paid $3,000 for this kind of thing. So not a fan of that. And again, like we always say, and that's not why I bought Gandalf. Shane, is it's not an investment. Buy what you like. If it ends up going up in value and you decide you want to sell it, brilliant. But I think if something is numbered, it kind of puts it in the sights of people that just want to buy it for its future value rather than enjoying the figure. But
makes sense.
Oh, and to the chat, I'm currently taking bids on Shane. So send me your bids. I'll tell you who won, and we'll ship them right to you.
That's fair.
It's a 1-to-1 scale box though.
Shane, we'll wrap with you today, buddy. What are your thoughts on this trooper? Is this one that's coming to your collection, especially with how much of a trooper guy you are yourself? You even cosplay as them.
Yep. The first of all jokes with the aside, me taking the piss out of Pete saying he's a scalper. If you own something, you can charge whatever the hell you want for it. Like I even like, and like the thing is, there's been figures that I've wanted in the past that have been long sold out, that have been going for 3, 4, 5 times the price. That's just life. That's capitalism. Like, if that's the real world we're living in, so I mean, it's not as if he went out and bought 5 of them, sell them all for
that's
700.
the big difference.
And even if he did,
tough shit, yeah.
That's exactly. That's capitalism. Deal with it. You know what I mean? Put on your big boy pants. That's the way it is.
Yeah.
But look, this figure, I am a trooper collector, but the thing is, this is from a computer game that I've never played and I have no connection to. And I don't really think it looks that cool. Like, a lot of figures I look at and go, oh my god, that looks so good. I wish I was into this. Like the Sam Wilson cap, the one from the Marvel TV show. I think that's a stunning looking figure, stunning looking head sculpt, pops on the shelf, but I just wasn't into the show. So, but that was one of the ones I was like, I really wish I was. Basically everything in the Ahsoka line, I really wish I appreciated that show. But my wallet will thank me later, because all those figures look stunning. It's on its way to be one of the best complete line. This here, I do collect troopers, but it's from a game that I've never played. I have yet to buy a figure from a computer game, and I probably never will, because I'm just not a gamer. It's another addiction which seems expensive and time consuming that I don't need. It's cool that it comes with 3 different helmets. I think that's pretty cool. I actually think they made the right decision here in limiting to 1,500, because if you think about it, like Vader's, Iron Man's, Batman's, Joker's, Spider-Man's, Boba Fett's, Luke Skywalker, they're popular, they sell. They're the figures you don't want to limit, because you don't want to take the opportunity away from collectors, and also that you can sell X amount of units of them and make a lot of money. You'd be shooting yourself in the foot if you limited them. But this here, I literally had never heard the word. I've heard ARC Trooper, but I never heard Umbra Trooper before.
No.
Until this week, because I didn't play the games, or I didn't pay close attention to Clone Wars or whatever, and I have yet to meet a person who's like, oh, I really want this, in the way that people wanted the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, or people wanted the C-3PO or whatever. So like, if you're the person sitting there and you really, really want this and you got one, awesome, that is great for you. But I do think it's actually okay that they limited this, because I don't think a lot of people want it, and there's probably a lot of people who ordered this because maybe they just wanted to flip it, or they just liked the idea that it had the exclusive tag in it.
It's funny. I just thought that the helmet on the left reminds me. So, is there any Futurama fans on the panel here?
I used to watch it a lot, but I don't know.
Who's the? There's like Bender watches like the robot movies, and there's like a big star, and the guy's like an absolute dick, but he looks like the head on the left.
I don't remember now.
No.
Help us in the chat if you guys remember.
I love Futurama.
Was it Calculon?
He might be. Yeah. It could be. Yeah.
Shiny made a good point there. He said, well, you know the way Shiny says something, you're like, he catches me off guard, because sometimes he makes these really good point, and I was like, wait a second, I need to reread this. Is there a sarcastic edge to this that I'm not seeing? But he said, number stuff is cool if you're already a super fan of the thing anyway. Like, behind me, pretty sure I'm pointing to the right person there, the Big Chief Studios, who've gone under now. That's like the signature series of the Thomas Shelby, Cillian Murphy figure. It was limited to 400 because it came out of his signature. So literally you have his signature right next to him. That's the icing on the cake, the fact that it's 400. But the bigger thing is the figure and the fact that that's actually Cillian Murphy's signature. You know what I mean? It's a nice thing, but wouldn't be like the be all and end all of me getting something. So
can I just jump a quick question for you, Shane, just not to delay the show, Ben, because you're a big Cillian Murphy fan. Will you be buying that third-party father of the atomic bomb figure and putting the first civilian representation of a character in your collection?
That is the dumbest name for a figure I think I've ever heard. It's like when someone makes a third-party Batman and calls him Vermin Man or something stupid. You know what? That you mentioned it. I've been wrestling, but not with that one. I've been looking at the Yixi. It's crazy expensive.
Yeah.
He did the sculpt. I think it looks stunning, and I think it's limited to something like 35 or something like that. Which is, again, this is the whole thing. It's like it's kind of Shiny's point. When you're into someone, it's kind of cool. But I don't need something to be limited. I'd rather that was 100,000 were made and they cost $100.
Yeah, exactly.
But the sculpt is so good. I actually liked the way the clothing sits. I thought it was originally a bit too baggy, but then I watched the movie again and looked at stills and it's like, no, actually it was the style of the like time. Skinny jeans and it's not Daniel Craig in Skyfall, you know. So I think that could happen. I think that, and like on the strength of the Oscar and everything, Christopher Nolan, great movie. He's one of our own. I've loved him as the Scarecrow, 28 Days Later, Inception, and of course, Peaky Blinders.
Let's hope he does end up doing that Bond movie they've been comments about. Yeah, be good.
100%. Guys, great conversation, and I hate to wrap it here, but we're running a little bit long today. Yeah. We still have 50 people watching in the chat. Thank you so much for getting nuts with us again on a Sunday. We will be back next week. Different panelists every week, so definitely make sure you guys come back and check that out. Of course, I want to say thank you to the Tough Nut crew, the people who pay a membership cost to be part of us and get their names read as well. If you're interested in becoming part of the membership of the Tough Nut crew, $1.99, and I'll read your name every week, as well as, of course, you get custom badges, custom emojis, and more. I'm looking at doing a little bit more member-specific content, as well as some community hauls. I want to have a live stream where just the members are in there, and we can all shoot the shit and get to know each other a little bit better. I think that would be fun. And then once we hit 30 members, we are going to do a channel giveaway. Right now, the vote is for King Shark, but I'm going to look at a couple other options as well. So stay tuned for that. I'll put that up in the YouTube posting there over the next week here. I think we only need 3 more members. Let's shout out the members. We got Elvin J, Collecting Weekly, Money Mendez, Six Scale Mafia, Katera, Feezy's Figures, King Dingaling, Sith Scale Collector, Paul Schreiber, The Batman, The Movie Canon, 1/6 Figure Focus, SpongeBob SquareBalls, The _ Empire Strikes, Peter Cass, Ryan Smith, Collector Joey, Sam Gist, 14 Wellington, Jose G. Hernandez, 12-inch Moose Stream, Collection Obsession, Blurred Dad Life, Danny Spotchka, Rachel Miller, Honest Hansel, in action in the box. And it looks like one of our panelists just became a member here as well, Figurecraft himself. Thank you, good sir, for your support. Thank you so much for being here today with us on the show as well. I really enjoyed having you as a guest, looking at your collection and hearing about your camera stuff there. This is for you, buddy.
You love me, don't you? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Meant to be a thank you, not a you love me, by the way. But either way, I appreciate it.
It's a bit strong, but yeah.
A little bit strong. Guys, again, if you're interested, if you're just here joining in, these are what some of our emojis look like if you're a member, as well as, of course, these are the stages at which you become different levels of nut as you go along. And channel members, if you're interested, if you ever want to have any customs done, let me know, and I will reach out to Dean over at Collecting Weekly and have some of those made. So let me know what nut figures you guys would like to see here on the show. Of course, if you're here, you're watching on the Ben Thomas Show as well. I think literally as we were on the show today, guys, and I'm probably going to shoot myself in the foot with this, we've just hit 3,700 subscribers. So thank you so much for subscribing to the show. If you're brand new to the show and you're just watching on replay, Ben Thomas Show, hit the subscribe, like it if you can. It always drives traffic for the show, guys, and I appreciate you, and it motivates me to keep going and see how far we can build this channel and community together and have some fun. Now, guys, let's do a quick round table. Philly, you are our guest of the day here today. Anything coming up on your channel that we can get excited about, and where can we find you, good sir?
You can find me on Instagram, Figurecraft, and YouTube and TikTok. Just doing a couple of videos. One was the review for the lens, and eventually I'll be doing my first review because I did get that ARC Trooper. Hopefully we get it done Monday or Tuesday. So I'm excited about that. Other than that, you'll see me streaming once in a while, and hopefully I can come back here again. I had a blast. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, dude. This is what Figurecraft's YouTube channel looks like. Go over there. Let's get them up to 1,000 subs, guys, if we can. Definitely great content. And if anything, go and check out the second half of that collection tour. That was really, really cool to watch. Pete, what's going on with Only Fools and Collecting, good sir? Anything coming up that we can look forward to from you, good sir?
Yeah, we're still on our monthly schedule for the moment. So we're back on the Thursday, the 4th of April at 8:30 p.m. UK time. I think things are starting to ramp up a bit now, and if I can G up Ian to get back to fortnightly, then I think that will be happening relatively soon, because it's just a bit confusing for us. It's like, are we doing this week? Are we on this week? And it's quite difficult. You kind of get out the pattern. Even me just reading out the Patreonies on the for the Collecting Weekly, I'm losing that rhythm. So I think as soon as we can get back to fortnightly, hopefully in May, then that'll be good. So back on the 4th of April.
I need to start practicing all the member names in the mirror, because that is hard to say those all without tripping over yourself.
It is.
For sure.
You did well.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. And thanks, Pete, for being here as well. Philly, you're the man. Thanks for being here, buddy. I appreciate you as well. Shane16 Figure Focus. This is what the man's channel looks like. If you have not become a subscriber over there, or his channel member as well, please consider doing so. Some great content. And now you've got 2 weeks off, so I bet we're going to see quite a bit of content coming from you here, buddy. Let's take a look at this.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks very much for having me on. I was really looking forward to this one. I don't really get to do this because I get up early in the mornings and it's just too late. It's past my
I'm off
bedtime
tomorrow as
usually,
well.
See, this is where the Irish and the English are in town tonight. So So hopefully if I'll be here next week if there's a space available. If not, that's completely all right. So Shiny is in the chat, and this is a video that's been performing quite well. More not so much necessarily reviews, just kind of feedback in the comments, kind of people sharing their own rules. I think I refrain from giving advice on the channel because I feel preachy. I just kind of go, look, these are what I do. If you get some benefit, grand. If you don't, grand. I also so it's my collection, my rules. These are the things that I do to keep me in check. It's a very expensive hobby, and you don't want to lose the run of yourself. So Shiny said that I ate some of the uranium from the chemistry lab, and that's what's causing my eye glow.
That's freaking me out. I don't know.
Right.
That's
I thought it was creepy. That's why I left it in. But so just some of the rules, 5 simple rules that I put in my my collecting to make it easier. Triple Threats, basically list the figures and why I like them, because I like the figure, the character, the source material, and the version. So just that's actually quite a long video. It's about maybe half an hour long, and I just really enjoyed making it. Apart from that, the Hope Show tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, which is I can't remember the time change. I think it's 3 p.m. East Coast and maybe 1 p.m. West Coast. Yeah, so 16 Figure Focus on YouTube. If you want to check out the channel, super. If you don't, that's okay too.
That's okay. It's not okay. Go over there and check it out.
I will blast you with my uranium eyes, motherfuckers.
Love to see it. Last but certainly not least, Mr. Classy Thomas. I know you've been talking or mentioned backstage a couple weeks ago. You've even considered rebranding to Classy Thomas from SpongeBob SquareBalls. Do you think that's going to happen? Is there anywhere we can look forward to seeing more of you this week, buddy?
Yeah, well, I'm definitely working on. I'm actually working out a logo right now for Classy Thomas, and once I kind of have that together, then I will be I'm not sure. I don't want to have to change out everybody from SpongeBob SquareBalls to there, so I may actually just change the name of my channel instead of starting up something new, and just kind of maybe ease it in there. I probably will do an announcement video when I finally decide to rebrand and change the official name. But before I do that, I think I need to put out a little bit of content so people will actually see that, yeah, I'm actually changing the name, and like it should actually mean something to you because I actually have a little bit of content. So yeah, I'm actually working on that. I have done some filming again. It's just so hard for me to get in there and do the editing. That is so boring. So I just got to get it together. But I am actually working on a few things. I actually have some new figures that I have finished, and some ones that I'm currently working on. And the ones that I am working on, I think I might want to actually do some time lapse things to show how I actually did it together. Because I actually have 2 storms I'm working on. I'm working on my Mohawk storm, and then I have a storm where after I root the hair, I want to make her the old school storm in her original outfit. So that's what I kind of have in there, and if I do, that's going to be one where I'm actually going to film the process and maybe do it on a time lapse. So yeah, I got some things in the works, and something that'll be worth getting out of bed to work on. So and since I'm a huge Storm fan, then I think that will be the thing that might kind of get me a good jump start to it.
Heck yeah, buddy. Well, I'm always happy to have you here. Any Sunday you want to join us, please do so. That goes for all of the guys on my panel. Thank you guys so much for making the show what it is.
Ben, I have told you time and time again, I'm your Ed McMahon.
I love it.
I will be your series.
I feel bad committing somebody regular. Though, but that's
I will be your regular to give everybody some consistency, something to look forward to.
A little extra classy in the house.
That's right. See a little chill out and get a little fun stuff over here. So if you need me, like I said, I will be your Ed McMahon.
Absolutely, my friend. Thank you so much. Once again, thank you to the channel members. Thank you to the panelists. Thank you to all the guys chatting here in the group today, making the show what it is. We had over 60 people watching live at one point, which is a great turnout. I love your faces, guys. And I would say, Classy Thomas, with that said, we got nuts. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Wow, what a great audience. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already.
Where shall I go? What shall I do?
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. It's gone. It's all gone.